Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching What If Naruto Joined Hogwarts. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
A very different island than any the world had ever seen lay hidden far from the Japanese islands. It was a stunning, colorful island in the shape of a turtle. A rich but level plain with enormous trees and small to large rolling hills, as well as a mountain rising up in the middle. The island's most striking feature was a lake in the shape of a spiral that was encircled by a dense forest. With its diverse flora and fauna, which were frequently enormous or poisonous, or more likely both, as well as its many magical creatures, it was a very dangerous place. The Uzumaki clan, one of the three noble clans of the Japanese magical world, owned the island. They were also said to be the most powerful of the clans, producing wizards and witches with extraordinary skill in the magical arts. There were so many charms and wards on and around the island that it was impossible for a non-magical muggle to find it. Such individuals see a dense fog and a blank expanse of seawater instead of the island. A huge Japanese-style castle stood in a deep valley area on the eastern side of Uzumaki Island, with the surrounding mountains serving as the backdrop, almost like in a painting. Built in the watchtower style, it was a complex building with 6 levels inside that looked like 5 stories from the outside. It was supported, like most magical homes, by magic. The castle's walls were primarily painted a deep shade of black. Built to withstand battle, it was a powerful structure that was also imposing and solemn. It featured lovely sakura, cherry blossom, trees on either side of the stone streets of the main entrance, as well as a sizable lake to the south of the main structure. In addition, the castle had a sizable training ground, flower beds, and other outbuildings. Kushina Uzumaki, the last member of the main Uzumaki branch and the head of the Uzumaki clan, lived in the castle with her husband Minato Namikaze. Kushina was a famously beautiful woman. Her features were typical of the Uzumaki clan. She was slender and feminine, with fair skin, violet eyes, and fiery red hair that framed both sides of her face and was parted to the left by a black clip. Minato, on the other hand, was a fair-skinned, reasonably tall man. He had spiky blonde hair and bright blue eyes. In addition, his face was framed by jaw-length bangs on either side. Many women thought he was a very attractive man. Minato came from a pure-blooded family that originated in England. In Japan, Kushina and Minato were regarded as two of the most formidable witches and wizards. Their distinctive, original spells and abilities were what made them most famous. Regretfully, they gave their lives as heroes to protect Japan from the strongest demon wizards have ever encountered. On October 10th, the day their son was born, they passed away. Location: Uzumaki Castle Library. The Uzumaki Castle's 4th floor housed the library. It was enchanted to appear smaller on the outside but to be larger on the inside. The space was enormous, spanning at least 3 stories, with bridges connecting the opposing sides of each floor, shelves upon shelves brimming with different types of books and scrolls, and study desks illuminated by torches. Minato, Kushina, and the Uzumaki clan amassed a sizable, antiquated collection of books and scrolls in the library. Its collection included separate sections on cooking, cleaning, and many other basic topics, and it included a wealth of information about both the Muggle and magical worlds. Tens of thousands of books and scrolls were spread across thousands of shelves in the library. Various spells were applied to the books and scrolls to keep them from being stolen or vandalized. 5 categories were used to group books and scrolls: D class, C class, B class, A class, and S class. Every class had more books and scrolls than the one below it. The most potent and hazardous magic belonged to the highest class, the S class. Only those with Uzumaki ancestry could enter it, and a huge magical wall divided it from the main library. It was late at night. 2 figures entered the library, one of whom was noticeably shorter than the other. The first was a fair-skinned, average-height woman with straight, pale blonde hair and brown eyes. Her face was framed on both sides by shoulder-length bangs that fell to her waist. On her forehead, there appeared to be a tattoo of a violet rhombus. Her name was Tsunade Senju, and she was descended from the Uzumaki clan through her ancestor Mito Uzumaki. She was also the last surviving member of the Senju clan, one of the 3 noble clans of the Japanese magical world. Despite being in her early 50s, she had a distinct and enduring charm that kept her looking younger. One of the most potent witches in magical history, according to legend, was Tsunade. She was renowned for her extraordinary physical prowess and her capacity to carry out any medical procedure flawlessly, as well as for curing and healing wounds and illnesses that others would dismiss as incurable or hopeless. She had on a grass green haori over a sleeveless gray kimono, style blouse, which was secured with a wide, dark bluish, gray obi that matched her trousers. She had a lovely green crystal necklace around her neck, made from a unique, crystal gem, Jie Jingshi, Keshoseki. It was a Senju heirloom. Her ancestor, Hashirama Senju, wore it once. Shizune, her apprentice and attendant, was standing beside her. She was dressed in a long, bluish, black kimono with white trim that was secured with a white obi. Shizune was a slender, fair-skinned woman with black eyes and hair who was of average height. She had shoulder-length, straight hair with bangs that framed her face and concealed her ears. They found the person they were looking for once they were inside the library. He was reading a big, black leather book with a faded cover while seated in his favorite spot in the library. He was so absorbed in the book that he failed to notice Shizune and Tsunade. They were silent for a few moments as he read the book. Tsunade called out, "Naruto," in an attempt to get his attention. Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze were the parents of Naruto, also known as Naruto Uzumaki. He had a fair complexion and appeared to be around 11 years old. He was dressed in black pants and a green ninja shirt. With Minato's blonde, spiky hair that was slightly tinted red, Naruto looked a lot like his father. He got his mother's face and eye shape from her. His left eye was violet, and his right eye was blue, indicating that he had heterochromia. Like Tsunade, he had a tiny violet rhombus mark on his forehead. He looked up from his book and saw his adoptive big sister and godmother. "Yes, Grandma," he said. Tsunade yelled, "Don't call me that brat," as she and Shizune passed him. "Call me auntie or something, anything other than Grandma. You're too old for that, though. Stop calling me old." The way her master and younger brother behaved made Shizune perspire. With those two, there is never a dull moment, she reflected. She pretended to cough in order to get their attention. "Yes, Shizune." "Shizune ne? Chan?" she inquired. "Are you done?" Naruto and Tsunade both gave a stupid nod. She approached Naruto and took a seat on the chair to his right. "Now, Naruto-kun, what are you reading?" she asked, pointing to the leather book he was reading. Naruto declared, "I'm just looking at my family tree from father's side of the family," as he opened the book that caught Tsunade's attention. In front of him, she took a seat. "My father's family was originally from England. It was a pure blood family like my mother's, and they were descended from Salazar Slytherin, who was one of the 4 founders of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry." He stopped and continued, "If they were descended of one of the great wizards from Britain, then why did they move to Japan?" According to Tsunade, "I can answer your question." She saw Naruto and Shizune both staring at her in astonishment. "I asked your father the same question, and he replied that his family, like all pure-blooded families, was a staunch supporter of blood purity and did everything in their power to preserve it, including inbreeding, which frequently left them violent and unstable. In any case, your grandparents, or his parents, were the oddballs in the family. They made the decision to flee because they never approved of what their family was doing. They took money and magical knowledge with them, and then came here, to Japan to start new life. Here, they adopted new names and identities for their safety." "So Namikaze isn't Minato Sama's real surname?" Shizune inquired. "Yes." Naruto asked abruptly, "Then what is my dad's real surname?" Tsunade, "It's better if you don't know," replied. "Fuck it." Gazing at the book, Naruto thought angrily, "I detest secrets. However, I have methods for learning about them. I want to go to the Hogwarts for my magical studies," he said, turning to face Tsunade. Surprised, Tsunade questioned, "Why do you want to go to the Hogwarts for your schooling?" "Mahutakoro Academy is the nearest magical school for us, where your parents went for their own magical studies, and it is in Japan." "Well, because I want to see the school that was founded by my ancestor." Tsunade narrowed her eyes suspiciously and asked him, "Really?" Naruto gave a nod. "I will talk to Sarutobi Sensei about it. But for now, go to bed." Naruto closed the book and put it aside, nodding. Tsunade and Shizune followed him as he got up from his chair and walked out of the library. From its spot on the table, the book shot into the air and returned to its original location on the shelf. After a week, situated on Uzumaki Island at the Uzumaki Dojo, a sizable hall served as the focal point of the dojo, which was distinct from the castle and used for fighting or sparring. There were thick mats on the floor. There were benches on one side, probably for anyone who wished to observe the action, and the walls were white with various weapons hanging on them. Naruto was practicing early in the morning for his daily training in the dojo, as he always did. He was practicing his swordsmanship with a bakken in his hand. It was blazingly fast and elegant, emphasizing speed and centrifugal force to inflict damage. In contrast to other wizarding families worldwide, his and a few other Japanese families prioritized traditional fighting techniques in addition to magical practice. Since some of their wandless spells required a sword as a medium, the three noble families primarily taught their kids sword techniques. Naruto executed the moves with lightning speed and fluidity, resembling water sliding off tree leaves. He practiced endlessly, holding a wooden sword. One blow after another, one swing after another, but he was stopped before he could finish another swing. Shizune called out, "Naruto-kun, it's time for breakfast," as soon as she stepped into the dojo. Naruto said, "Okay, Chan, I'll be there in a minute." "Okay, but don't take too much time, because Tsunade-sama wants to talk with you," she said while sniffing the air, "and plus, you need another bath." After a short while, situated in the castle of Uzumaki, Naruto, Tsunade, and Shizune were seated at the dining room table. A tiny, grayish, brown creature with a broad smile on its face suddenly materialized next to the breakfast table after a loud crack. In a high, feminine voice, it said, "Master Naruto, please pardon Yuki for being late." Yuki was a house elf woman. She had enormous dark blue eyes, a pencil-like nose, and bat-like ears. As tall as she wore a long white sundress with the Uzumaki clan's emblem prominently displayed on both the front and the back. Giving a house elf's clothing usually indicates that the family no longer wants it and that they are free, but Yuki wasn't your typical house elf. Like the majority of her family before her, she enjoyed working for the Uzumaki clan and was devoted to them despite her freedom. Additionally, she had a strong loyalty to Kushina, Naruto's mother, who showed her kindness. Yuki turned down Kushina's offer of 10 golden ryo per week and free weekends every weekend, choosing instead to accept 1 golden ryo per week and 1 day off per month. "It's okay, Yuki-chan," Naruto answered. Yuki bowed to him and said, "Yuki is now happy, master, with grace. Thank you." Yuki summoned a massive breakfast on a table by snapping her fingers. Then, with yet another loud cracking sound, she vanished. As Naruto was eating his breakfast, he asked Tsunade, "So what do you want to talk to me about?" He had impeccable table manners. He was from an aristocratic family, so it wasn't shocking. "Last week, I wrote a letter to Sarutobi-sensei about you. He has given a reply on it today," Tsunade said, taking a sip of tea. He inquired, "So what did he say?" He was so nervous and excited that his voice nearly broke. He sighed in relief when he heard Tsunade's response, "He wants to meet you today." Tsunade took another sip of her tea and said, "We're heading to Tokyo to visit the headquarters of the Japanese Ministry of Magic." Location: Tokyo, Japan. Tokyo served as the world's largest metropolitan area, the capital of Japan, and the hub of the Greater Tokyo area. It was the hub of the Japanese government for wizards and witches as well as muggles. It was a significant city because it housed the Japanese Ministry of Magic's headquarters. The ministry's new headquarters were located on the 33.5th floor of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building No. 1, also known as Tokyo City Hall or Tocho, in Shinjuku, Tokyo. It was moved here from Tokyo City Hall at Yurakucho 6 months prior. The Minister for Magic was in charge of it. Naruto stated, "So this is the new Tokyo City Hall." He was outside the new building, standing next to Tsunade. At the 33rd floor, it divided into 2 sections, totaling 48 stories. Impressive. Tsunade gave a nod. They approached the security officer in the lobby after entering the building. "It was 33.5 floor, she stated. The security guard recognized the well-known witch's face as soon as he looked up at her. "Tsunade-sama," he said quickly as he stood up, "what can I do for you?" "The 33.5 floor, she repeated. He said, "Ah, yes, sorry, an apology." He gave her a silver coin that he had taken out of his pocket. Tsunade accepted the coin and went to the lone empty room at the rear of the lobby rather than the elevator. Naruto didn't know what Tsunade was doing, so he asked, "Where are we going?" She said, "Just follow me," as they entered and she shut the door after them. She pulled her 11-inch, cherry, unicorn hair, brown wand out of her pocket and set its tip against the door, saying, "Let me show you something." Tuo Kudasai Akete, a semi-transparent girl in an elevator girl's uniform, with a gray, silver body, was standing in the elevator when the door slid open. She was a ghost. "Welcome," said Ghost Girl as Naruto and Tsunade stepped into the elevator. Tsunade handed the silver coin to Ghost Girl and said, 33.5 floor. After nodding and taking the silver coin from Tsunade's hand, the girl pressed the 3, 3, 1, and 5 buttons on the elevator panel, which caused the elevator's doors to close and rise. After about 15 seconds, the elevator stopped and its doors opened, making a ding sound. Naruto exclaimed, fast, as he and Tsunade exited the elevator. It's the brand new, enchanted elevator that your business, Uzumaki Enterprises, created. Tsunade piqued Naruto's interest by stating, it is connected to every magical department in Tokyo. Our magical research department has been working on a project for the past 2 years to make a more controlled and effective traveling system than the Flow Network. These are merely prototype elevators. It was launched last year in Tokyo for a demonstration. Our department is working on its more advanced and commercial version now, and it will take more than 5 years. Naruto responded, it's an interesting project, and I didn't know that Uzumaki Enterprises had a magical research department. Who is the project head? Tsunade replied, Kazuki Urahara, while glancing at Naruto. You need to know more about the company, Naruto. You are the heir of the Uzumaki clan and owner of Uzumaki Enterprises. One day you're going to take over the company. He gave a nod. Now, let's go. Sarutobi. Sensei must be waiting for us. A massive 15-story structure that housed numerous offices, departments, and courtrooms made up the Japanese Ministry of Magic headquarters. With the exception of level 11 and beyond, the Wizards' Council and courtroom on level 12, which could only be reached by a flight of stairs from level 11, all levels were accessible via the magically enhanced elevators, which could move both horizontally and vertically. Levels 13, 14, and 15 were then classified as confidential. Only witches and wizards with special permission could enter. Where is Gramps' office? Inquired Naruto. It's on the 11th floor. After a short while, on the 11th floor, Naruto and Tsunade both emerged. They came upon a hallway that led to the Golden Door, which was watched over by 2 wizards. They wore wide brimmed hats, black hooded cloaks, black gloves, black capes, black pants, and white shirts. Tsunade was recognized by the guards. Welcome Tsunade. Sama welcomed one of the guards. He put his wand on the door, and his partner did the same. They simultaneously exclaimed, Kyotsukatin, as the golden door turned silver. Another guard said courteously, you may go inside, and opened the door for them both. The sight of a spacious room with fully blossoming cherry trees and a ceiling that resembled the sky welcomed them as they entered. There were cherry blossom trees on either side of a stone walkway that led to a location. Let's go, said Tsunade. Each one passed by the blossoms that the wind blew from the tree branches. When Naruto saw the flowers, he grinned. As he let one fall into his palm and marveled at its beauty, he thought, such beautiful flowers. He let go of the blossom and went on until he came to what looked like a big wooden door. Naruto closed the door behind them as they entered Sarutobi's office after Tsunade opened it. Anyone entering the room was drawn to the enormous wooden desk in the middle. An elderly man sat on an office chair behind the desk, smoking a pipe while examining some files. He was a man of below average height and light complexion. His cheekbones were prominent, his goatee was long and thick, his forehead was creased prominently, he had gray hair, a few wrinkles, a wart close to his left nostril, and a few liver spots. He was the Japanese Minister of Magic, Hiruzen Sarutobi. He taught Tsunade and served as the headmaster of the Mahudakoro School of Witchcraft and Wizardry prior to being appointed minister. He was dressed in a haori and a full-length red kimono tied with a white sash. Naruto said, Yo, Gramps, to Sarutobi. Hiruzen grinned. He got up from his chair and walked over to embrace Naruto. Naruto, long time no see you. How are you? I'm fine. Tsunade remarked. Sarutobi. Sensei, you look like shit, as she examined the massive stack of documents on his desk. He let out a sigh. I know. Do you want my job? Hell no. Exclaimed Tsunade. He said, well, I tried, as he entered and sat down behind his desk. Naruto and Tsunade sat down on the chairs across from him. Now, let's talk about you, shall we, Naruto? What is it, Gramps? I wrote letters to both the British Ministry of Magic and the headmaster of Hogwarts, Sarutobi stated. They replied back, they would be happy to have you in the Hogwarts for your magical studies. Well, why they wouldn't be happy about it? After all, he is the heir of the Uzumaki Enterprises, which controls the majority of trading business in the wizarding world, Tsunade suddenly replied. Sarutobi said, yes, you could say that, and then he turned to face Naruto. Anyway, Naruto, I would like to introduce you to someone. Who? Inquired Naruto. He'll be here soon, Sarutobi anticipated. My door was knocked on abruptly. He gestured with his hand as the office door opened, saying, "Looks like he's here now." Someone walked into the room. Tall and slender, he had silver hair and a beard that was long enough to fit in his belt. His nose was crooked and very long. He was an elderly man dressed in a bright red robe and half-moon glasses. Sarutobi said, "Welcome to Japan, my old friend, Albus," getting up from his chair and shaking his hand to greet him. Albus said, "Thank you, Hiruzen," in flawless Japanese. He sat down next to Naruto. Sarutobi pointed to Tsunade and said, "Albus, this is my student, Tsunade Senju." "I know who she is," Albus replied. "She is pretty much famous not only in Japan but also in England." "Yes, she is," a smiling Sarutobi replied. He was pleased with his pupil. Then he gestured toward Naruto. "And this young man is Naruto Uzumaki." "So you are Naruto?" "Yes," replied Naruto. "And you are Professor Albus Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore, Order of Merlin, First Class, Grand Sorcerer, formerly the Transfiguration Professor, and then later and currently, the headmaster of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry." Dumbledore remarked, "You are well informed," impressed by the blonde boy's depth of knowledge. Tsunade gave Naruto an upside-down slap and said, "Because I like reading, Gramps." "Ouch, hey, what was that for?" Tsunade reprimanded, "Brat, show some decency. He is one of the greatest and most respected wizards in the wizarding world." "Whatever." Dumbledore grinned at their conduct. "Naruto, I don't have any problem with you calling me Gramps. Just, don't call me it in public or in front of my students, okay?" Naruto grinned and nodded. "Thanks, Gramps. You have Minato's brains and Kushina's mouth," Dumbledore remarked with another smile. "Did you know my parents?" "Yes, they were great wizards and my friends," Dumbledore replied. After a few moments of silence, he said, "Sadly, they died too early. Your father had potential to surpass the greatest wizards of all time. Anyway, can you read English?" he asked. Naruto gave a nod. He made the statement, "I can speak, read, and write English perfectly, in English." Dumbledore handed Naruto a cream-white envelope with a very official-looking seal that he had taken out of his pocket. Taking the envelope, Naruto opened it. The Hogwarts School of Wizardry and Witchcraft. Headmaster. Dumbledore, Albus, First Class, Grand Sorc. CHF. Warlock, Supreme Mugwump, International Confederation of Wizards, Order of Merlin. Greetings, Mr. Uzumaki. We are happy to notify you that Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry has accepted you. A list of all required books and equipment is enclosed. On September 1st, term begins. We need your response by July 31st at the latest. Sincerely yours, McGonagall, Minerva Deputy Head of Admission. Then he opened the envelope and removed the second paper. The Hogwarts School of Wizardry and Witchcraft uniform. Students in their first year will need 1. 3 sets of simple black work robes. 2. 1 simple black pointed hat to wear during the day. 3. 1 pair of gloves for protection, dragon hide or comparable. 4. A single black winter cloak with silver fastenings. Note that name tags must be attached to every student's clothing. Books for course. A copy of each of the following should be in the possession of every student. The Standard Spelling Book, Grade 1, by Miranda Goshawk. A Look Back at Magic by Bagshot, Bathilda The Theory of Magic. By Waffling, Adalbert An Introduction to Transfiguration. By Emmerich Switch 1000 Fungi and Magical Herbs. Felida Spore Magical Potions and Drafts by Jigger Arsenius. Amazing Animals and Their Locations by Scamander, Newt. The Dark Forces. A Manual for Protecting Yourself. Quentin Trimble Additional Equipment 1 Wand. 1 Cauldron, Standard Size, Pewter. 1 set of crystal or glass files. 1 telescope 1 pair of brass scales. Additionally, students are welcome to bring an owl, cat, or toad if they so choose. We remind parents that first-year students are prohibited from using their own broomstick. Sincerely yours, Tom Sonical. Pocus Lucinda, Head of the Witchcraft Provisions Attendant. Naruto turned to face Dumbledore and said, "I accept. Also, can I bring other animals in place of those 3 at the Hogwarts?" "Yes, you can bring other animals at Hogwarts. As long as it is not disruptive, dangerous or disgusting," said Dumbledore. "However, you need approval from your head of house for anything out of the ordinary animals." Naruto muttered to himself, "So Karasu-chan can come with me," but Dumbledore overheard. "Karasu-chan? Naruto grinned and remarked, "She is my guardian angel," as the shadows beneath his feet coiled and twisted before growing larger and taking the form of a massive raven that was 5 feet tall. After letting out a loud cry, the raven shrank in size and settled itself on Naruto's left shoulder. Dumbledore recognized that the raven was larger than any typical forest raven. She had an amazing wingspan, dark black feathers with a very lustrous sheen and a noble appearance, and her wings were particularly large and straight. Her tail feathers were also erect and sharp. She also had a crest on her head that resembled a J, which made her look proud and royal. Purple. Colored runes covered her entire body. In the dark, her blood-red eyes shone brightly. Her legs stood out the most, though, in spite of everything else. She had 3 instead of the usual 2, each with sharp black talons and a deep purple color. Her purple beak was long and sharp, too. She displayed her clan loyalty by wearing a silvery, black metallic leg band on her left leg that was engraved with the spiral of the Uzumaki clan. He joyfully said, "Gramps, meet Karasu-chan," introducing her to Dumbledore. When Dumbledore spotted a 3-legged raven, he inquired, "Is she a Yatagarasu?" "Yes. Have you seen a Yatagarasu before?" Dumbledore gave a headshake. "This is the first time I personally have seen a Yatagarasu. I have heard about them before but have never had a chance to see them. They're powerful magical creatures. They're even rarer than the ever-elusive phoenix," he stated. "They're secretive, and in the magical world, there is not much information on them." A calming, ethereal female voice said, "Because most of us prefer the spirit world to the human world," inside his head. Dumbledore asked, "You can talk telepathically, but how did you even get past my mental barriers?" "I'm an Occlumens. It's not easy to access my mind. We are natural telepaths, so it doesn't really matter to us." "So your species live in the spirit world?" Dumbledore asked, nodding. "Yes," Karasu said, flapping her wings and taking off, her long, ghostly black tail trailing behind her. "That clarifies it." As he watched Karasu vanish into Naruto's shadow, Dumbledore wondered, "Why do we know so little about them?" He looked in Naruto's direction. "Where did you get her?" Tsunade responded to his query by saying, "She has been with Naruto since his birth. She is very protective over him, and is extremely loyal to him. She is also highly intelligent and powerful. She has complete control over shadows and much more." "You have a wonderful animal companion," Dumbledore remarked, glancing at Naruto. Naruto said, "Thank you," with a small smile. "Anyway, Naruto, the school term will start on the 1st of September, so I'll send someone to pick you up." Naruto gave a nod. Tsunade said, "Naruto, it's time to leave now." Naruto gave her a curious glance. "I think Sensei wants to talk with Dumbledore-san alone." Naruto nodded. By saying, "Goodbye Gramps, other Gramps," he walked out of Sarutobi's office with Tsunade. Dumbledore asked Sarutobi, "What do you want to talk about, old friend?" Sarutobi inhaled deeply and turned to face Dumbledore. "Take care of Naruto. He is special. He is not only the heir of Uzumaki clan but also the son of Minato and Kushina," said the man. "They have many enemies, who will do anything to harm Naruto for revenge. I will do my best, Hiruzen, after about 2 months." Location: the Uzumaki Castle's Naruto's bedroom. The room was spacious and ornate. The large, fluffy bed was made to perfection, and the light from the chandelier above fully revealed the wall's numerous portraits and the light blue wallpaper. On one side wall was a big bookcase containing books about spells. On the opposite end of the room was a wooden sliding door that opened onto a balcony. It was August 30th today. In preparation for his year at Hogwarts, Naruto was packing his trunks. Standing in front of a heap of clothing, Shizune asked, "Naruto-kun, is this enough for you?" Naruto remarked, "Yes, Shizune-chan, this is enough." After pulling her bluish, black wand, an 11-inch cedar hippogriff feather, from her pocket, Shizune quickly packed all of his belongings in a sizable silver, black trunk bearing the Uzumaki clan emblem. "Is there anything else?" "Yes, extra shoes?" Yuki said, "They're here, Master Naruto," as she burst into the room with a loud crack and held Naruto's extra shoes. "Place them inside the trunk, Yuki-chan," replied Naruto. Yuki put his shoes in the trunk after nodding her head. Tsunade said, "You forgot these," as she walked into the room. A single wooden sword and numerous books were floating in the air behind her, and she was holding her pet pig, Tauntaun, in her hand. Tauntaun whimpered, "Oink," in an attempt to get Naruto's attention. Naruto said, "Hello, Tauntaun," to her. Like all pigs, Tauntaun was light pink, with cheeks flushed a deeper shade of the same pink as her skin. She wore a dark red jacket and a pearl collar. Naruto, Tsunade said, drawing Naruto's attention, these are your practice sword and some advanced medical books. She put the books and wooden sword inside the trunk and gestured. You need them if you don't want to slack off in your medical and sword study. Also close your eyes, Naruto. I've got something for you, she said. Incredulously, Naruto said, O.K, but he still closed his eyes. Tsunade knelt down and wrapped Naruto's neck with a stunning green crystal necklace, crafted from a unique magical crystal gem, possessing an unidentified magical quality. Now, open your eyes. Senju heirloom caused Naruto's eyes to water. This is, he said. I want to give you this necklace even though I know it's my heirloom. It's a gift from you. You look good wearing it, she said with a smile, and this necklace has a very strong magic in it. No one is aware of it. Many made unsuccessful attempts to learn more about it. Where they all failed, perhaps you would succeed. He said, thank you, Granny, and gave her a firm embrace. You're welcome, brat. They noticed a slight coughing noise. Shizune said, Naruto-kun, this is for you, and handed him a tiny brown package. Naruto opened the package to reveal a large, black, gray, hooded varsity jacket with red linings inside. The jacket featured several hidden invisible pockets, as well as the red spiral of the Uzumaki clan on the left side. Thank you, Shizune-chan, he replied, but I don't think it will fit me. It is magically enhanced to fit to any sized person perfectly, Shizune explained. Naruto put the coat on himself, and it shrank to his own size. Do you like it? Yes, it's comfortable and soft. Now, pull the hood on your head. Naruto pulled the hood over his head and disappeared before their eyes. Whoa, it's a jacket that was made especially for you. It will render you invisible by drawing its hood over your head. Tsunade touched Naruto's invisible head and remarked, it's an interesting item. Despite the fact that it only covers Naruto's upper body. Even now, Naruto's entire body remains invisible. After lowering the hood, Naruto was once more visible. He said, thanks Ne-chan, it'll be really useful, before removing the jacket and placing it in his trunk. Yuki remarked, Yuki also has something for her master. What is it? Gazing at his female house.elf, Naruto posed the question. This, Yuki said, and then she appeared out of nowhere with a twisted looking bag, which she handed to Naruto. What is this? After removing a bag from Yuki's grasp and beginning to inspect it, Naruto posed the question. It was a twisted, brownish, green, and grayish green bag that resembled a monster's head, with a zipper that resembled its mouth, similar to Charmcaster's bag from Ben 10. Tsunade remarked, it's been a long time since I've seen this bag, and Shizune nodded her head in agreement. Have you previously seen this bag? Naruto uttered those words. It's your mother's magical charm bag, Tsunade replied. Yes, the bag belongs to Mistress Kushina, Yuki said. She gave it to me so I could give it to Master Naruto on his first day of school. This bag is unique, Naruto. A personal pocket dimension is linked to it. Tsunade stated, it means it can store an infinite number of items of any size, but only an Uzumaki can put an item in the bag or pull an item out of the bag. Shizune, and it is also sentient, he continued. What? Confused, Naruto inquired. The bag in his hand began to bounce up and down in his hand, and suddenly it opened its mouth like a zipper, revealing its pointed teeth, which were almost innocuous because they were made of the same material as the bag. It recognizes you as its master, Tsunade told him. After leaping out of his grasp, the bag swung its belt around Naruto's waist, dangling on the right side of his waist. Naruto remarked, thank you for the gift, Yuki-chan. After taking the bag off his waist, he raised it up and placed it in front of him, inscribed, sleep, on it with his index finger, cast a sleeping spell on it, and it returned to normal before he placed it inside the trunk. Did you bring everything with you? Last time, Shizune inquired. Naruto gave a nod, and she aimed her wand at the trunk. Reducio caused the trunk to shrink, and she took the tiny trunk and placed it in her purse. Come on. If we don't depart right away, we'll be late. Are you accompanying me, too? Confused, Naruto asked. I've transferred a little sum of money to the Gringotts Wizarding Bank, Tsunade said, handing him a gold key. Yes, she is coming with you to make sure you reach the Hogwarts Express safely, she said. And take this key. To open Vault 721, you will need this key. She handed Naruto the gold key, which he pocketed. Time to go, Naruto, shouted Shizune. They vanished to the spot where the portkey was supposed to be after she put her hand on Naruto's shoulder. London, on August 31st, Naruto, our favorite heterochromatic wizard boy, was wearing a purple t-shirt and black pants while standing on his hotel balcony, admiring the lovely view of London City. He and Shizune had come to London by portkey and were staying at the Merchant Inn, one of the best hotels in the city. Middle-class wizards and witches hardly ever went there, and unless you were an upper-class wizard, you were never really talked about. The hotel room was quite spacious, with 2 bedrooms and a large living room. The rooms were opulently and stylishly furnished, with a large fireplace, expensive furniture, vases of flowers, curios on the sideboard, and large paintings on the walls. Naruto.kun. Shizune was waiting for Naruto while seated at the dining table. After entering the room, Naruto proceeded to the dining area, where he sat down in front of Shizune, who was drinking tea. Naruto.kun. Tea? Shizune inquired. After nodding, the kettle magically rose into the air and filled one of the cups with hot tea. He stirred the tea and dropped 2 sugar cubes into it before raising the cup to his lips and taking a swig of the hot tea. When the door knocked while they were still enjoying the tea and some cake, Shizune took out her wand and waved it to open the door. When she called, "You may enter," wearing flowing black robes, a thin man with sallow skin, a large hooked nose, yellow, uneven teeth, shoulder length greasy black hair that framed his face in curtains, curling lips, and dark, penetrating eyes entered through the now open door. With a look of disgust in his eyes, he approached Shizune and Naruto, who were seated at the dining table. "Did you come here because of Dumbledore Sama?" Shizune pushed her chair back into the table and stood up to ask. He didn't want to waste his time on them, so he said, "Yes, he has sent me here to show Naruto Uzumaki Diagon Alley and tell him more about Hogwarts School," with a hint of disapproval in his voice. Naruto assumed he didn't even want to come here based on his tone and voice. He said, "I'm Naruto Uzumaki," to the man. After giving him a brief glance, the man said, "My name is Severus Snape. At Hogwarts, I am the head of Slytherin House and the potions master. I'm Shizune, Tsunade Senju's attendant and apprentice. Nice to meet you, Snape.san," Shizune said, bowing slightly to greet him. "Tsunade Senju," Snape said inquisitively, his face looking very alien. "Is she truly as powerful as witches and wizards claim to be?" "Yes, she has immense raw strength, with which she can create fissures with a single finger jab at the ground." After giving it some thought, Snape turned to face Naruto's hand. "However, we must first proceed to the lobby. Let me show you how to get into Diagon Alley," he said. Anti-apparition wards guard the entire hotel, and the lobby is the only area where we are allowed to enter or exit. Naruto and Shizune both nodded, and they made their way to the lobby. Los Angeles, Leaky Cauldron. Snape looked at Naruto as if he were expecting something from him, and the 3 of them appeared in a small, run-down pub. "I take it that this is not your first appearance?" he inquired after noticing that Naruto appeared to be in perfect health. "What are you saying?" Confused, Naruto asked. "Most people vomit the first time they successfully apparate." "Aha, yes. Where are we now?" Shizune cut them off in mid-sentence and asked. Everyone seemed to know Snape, and some of them even got anxious when they saw him. The place was very dark and run down, with a few elderly men and women sitting in a corner, drinking small glasses of sherry, and a big man talking to the old bartender, who was bald and looked like a toothless walnut. "It's London's well-known wizarding pub, the Leaky Cauldron." Ignoring the tension around them, Snape explained, "It's the entrance to Diagon Alley." As if they couldn't see the Leaky Cauldron at all, Naruto saw that many of the people outside the pub were rushing past it without even looking at it, their gazes darting from the large bookstore on one side to the record store on the other. He muttered to himself, "So muggles can't see the pub." Snape escorted them out of the bar and into a tiny, walled courtyard with only a few weeds and a trash can. "This wall is the entrance of Diagon Alley," he said, pointing to the brick wall that was above the landfill. He swiftly put his wand back in his sleeve after taking it out and tapping the wall's bricks 5 times in an anti-clockwise direction, 3 up and 2 across. After a few seconds, they were facing an archway big enough for them, onto a cobbled street that twisted and turned out of sight, and the bricks his wand had touched trembled. It wriggled, in the center. It then began to move out of the way. Naruto glanced over his shoulder as they passed through the archway, and he saw it instantly contract back into a solid wall. Packed with witches and wizards, the alley was a collection of eateries, shops, and other attractions, some of which even had tables outside with colorful umbrellas. Shizune turned to Snape and said, "Nice place," surveying the alley. "Snape-san, where is the Gringotts Wizarding Bank? We would like to take out some cash." He said, "Follow me," and turned to leave. While strolling along a busy street, Naruto noticed a store called Broomstick, with broomsticks in it and several boys his age leaning their noses against the window. "Professor Snape, you are the potions professor in the Hogwarts, right?" Naruto asked, attempting to strike up a polite discussion. After glancing at Naruto, Snape turned to face him and said, "Yes." Assuming Snape was not a talkative person, Naruto nodded. "What is the curriculum for first-year potions?" he inquired. "We teach first-year students the cure for Boyle's potion and the forgetfulness potion," Snape said, glancing down at Naruto. And Naruto uttered those words, expecting more. Aconite, Bezoars, and some basic details on preparation of the Draft of Living Death, collecting the ingredients for Wiggenweld potion and the 12 uses of dragon blood, Snape said, raising his eyebrows a little. "Are there no more advanced or healing potions available?" Snape shook his head when Naruto asked, "That sucks." Naruto. Shizune slapped him on the head, upside down, and yelled. "It hurts." Naruto rubbed his head and apologized. "Shizune-chan. Why do you want to learn advanced potions?" Snape asked Naruto, ignoring them as if nothing had happened. "I want to become the best healer ever and potion is one of the requirements to become a healer," replied Naruto. After a few moments of staring at him, Snape turned to leave. After a few minutes they had arrived at a snow-white structure that loomed over the other small stores, and two goblins in scarlet and gold were standing on either side of its burnished bronze doors. After saying, "This is Gringotts Wizarding Bank," Snape turned to face Naruto and Shizune and said, "I'll see you two later. I have to go somewhere. Diagon Alley is where you can locate every item on the Hogwarts supply list." Shizune replied, "It's okay, Snape-san. Thank you." Then, with a pop, Snape turned away and vanished. The goblin, who was about a head shorter than Naruto and had a swarthy, cunning face, a pointed beard, and very long fingers and feet, bowed as they entered. Shizune and Naruto both ascended the white stone steps toward the goblin. They now faced a second set of doors, this time made of silver and bearing the following inscription. "Come on in, stranger, but listen. Of the consequences of the sin of greed. For individuals who take without earning, they have to pay the highest price in turn. Therefore, if you look under our floors an item that you never had, you've been warned, thief. Take caution of discovering there more than just treasure." There were too many doors to count leading off the hall, and more goblins were showing people in and out of these. A pair of goblins bowed them through the silver doors, and they found themselves in a large marble hall with about 100 more goblins sitting on high stools behind a long counter, writing in large ledgers, weighing coins in brass scales, and examining precious stones through eyeglasses. Naruto and Shizune headed for the counter. "We've come here to take some money out of Mr. Uzumaki's vault, number 721, she said to a free goblin. "Have you got his key?" Naruto said, "Yes," while displaying a golden key. "That seems to be in order," the goblin said, glancing at key. "I'll have someone take you down to the vault. N-boxes." Shizune and Naruto followed N-boxes, another goblin, to one of the exit doors from the hall. When N-boxes held the door open for them, they saw a narrow passageway of stone, lighted by flaming torches, with a steep incline and small railway tracks on the floor. N-boxes whistled, and a small cart sped up the tracks toward them, and they got into it and left. Since N-boxes wasn't operating the rattling cart, it initially seemed to know its own way as they sped through a labyrinth of winding passages. As they hurtled around the narrow corners, the air grew colder and colder, and they went rattling over an underground ravine before plunging deeper, past an underground lake where enormous stalactites and stalagmites grew from the ceiling and floor. The cart came to a stop next to a small door in the passage wall. Since there was no keyhole in Vault 720.1, they exited the vehicle and stood in front of the door. "Stand back," said N-boxes. As the door melted away, he gently stroked it with one of his long fingers, revealing another door with a keyhole inside. He used the key to unlock the door, and a lot of green smoke billowed out. Inside, there were heaps of small bronze nuts, numerous columns of silver sickles, and numerous large mounds of gold galleons. "Is there money involved?" Shizune was asked by Naruto. It contained a substantial fortune that would probably embarrass the vault of any aristocratic wizard family. After helping Naruto stuff some of the money, roughly 200 gold galleons, 600 silver sickles, and 1,200 bronze nuts, into a small bag, Shizune shook her head. Let's go, she referred to. They were outside of Gringotts after another hell ride. What comes next? Naruto inquired. Shizune nodded toward Madame Malkin's robes for all occasions and remarked, perhaps we should purchase your uniform first. When they walked into Madame Malkin's store, they noticed a woman who Naruto thought was Madame Malkin mending a uniform for a different customer. Standing on a footstool, looking foolish with flying tape measures all around him, was a boy about Naruto's age, round-faced, short, plump, and with brown hair. Directly behind him was an elderly woman with a bright red handbag in her hand and a hat with a stuffed vulture on it. Naruto and Shizune both approached them. Shizune said, "Pardon me," to Madame Malkin. A squat, smiling witch in all mauve, Madame Malkin glanced at Shizune before turning to face Naruto. "Dear, Hogwarts?" She pointed to the plump boy and said, "Got the lot here, another young man being fitted up just now." Her English is weird, Shizune thought, nodding stupidly. "I take it you're not from here?" the elderly woman beside her inquired. "No," replied Shizune, "I'm from Japan. This boy," the elderly woman said, pointing to the boy with the brown hair, "is my grandson Neville Longbottom." "I thought so," she said. "My name is Augusta Longbottom." "My name is Shizune." "Hi, I'm Naruto," Naruto said, extending his hand to Neville, who was standing on a stool beside him. The boy appeared stunned at first, but he soon got up and straightened his robes after reaching out his hand and tripping over the stool and being caught by Naruto before he could yell. "Stop being so awkward, Neville," he was reprimanded by his grandmother. Neville said, "Sorry, Gran," turning to face Naruto. "Thanks, my name is Neville." As a second witch worked on Neville, Madame Malkin approached Naruto, draped a long robe over his head, and started to pin it to the proper length. "Are you also attending Hogwarts?" Naruto inquired. "Yes," Neville uttered timidly. According to Naruto's analysis of the boy's behavior, it must be because of a traumatic event or something else. "I'm not sure." Naruto concluded that the boy's shyness and lack of confidence would have a significant impact on his wizarding skills and training. The voice of Madame Malkin interrupted him mid-sentence. She told the two boys, "That's you two done, my dears." Naruto jumped off the footstool and said, "Thank you," and Neville followed suit. Both boys received packages from Madame Malkin, with Shizune paying for Naruto and Augusta for her grandson. Naruto glanced back at Augusta, Neville's grandmother, before he and his sister left the room. He stunned Augusta by saying, "Your grandson's timid behavior and lack of confidence are making him clumsy, which will have a major impact on his training and wizarding skills. There is only one way to resolve this. You must first have faith in him in order for him to have faith in himself." No one, not even Neville's grandmother, spoke, and the shop was completely silent. Looking at Neville, who was crying, he continued, "A man is not as big as his belief in himself. He is as big as the number of persons who believe in him." This was likely the first time that someone had defended him, and he said, "I'll see you at Hogwarts, Neville." Neville and his grandmother remained in the store after he and Shizune left. Shizune and Naruto were now outside the store. According to Shizune, Naruto-kun, "You did a good thing back there," with a smile. Naruto said, "Thank you. I have no doubt that she loves her grandson. I could tell she was feeling something when she looked at Neville. Neville's parents must be a strong witch and wizard, and she would have been expecting great things from Neville," he said, looking at the clothes store. It was love and care. But there was also sadness and disappointment. Shizune ruffled his hair and remarked, "Naruto-kun, you have never ceased to amaze me with your empathic ability and analyzing skill." Naruto claimed that, being an empath, sometimes, is not a good thing, as he combed his hair to get it in the proper position. "What are you saying? You cannot deceive yourself about how other people feel about you if you are an empath. Their anger or hatred toward you is palpable. Managing people's negative emotions is difficult." "Now, let's go," Shizune said, nodding. Other things on the list still need to be purchased. They purchased school books from a store called Flourish and Blots, where the shelves were piled high with leather bound books the size of paving stones, books the size of postage stamps in silk covers, books filled with odd symbols, and even a few books that contained nothing at all. Then they went to the apothecary, which was interesting enough to compensate for its awful stench, a concoction of rotten cabbages and bad eggs. Barrels of slimy stuff stood on the floor. Jars of herbs, dried roots, and bright powders lined the walls. Bundles of feathers, strings of fangs, and snarled claws hung from the ceiling. And they purchased a nice set of scales for weighing potion ingredients and a collapsible brass telescope from Wiseacre's wizarding equipment. Shizune looked over the Hogwarts supply list once more outside the apothecary. Well, the only thing left is your wand, she replied. The wand shop was small and run down, with a single wand resting on a faded purple cushion in the dusty window, and peeling gold letters over the door that read Ollivanders, makers of fine wands since 382 BC. Naruto and Shizune entered a small, empty shop with a single, spindly chair in the corner, thousands of narrow boxes stacked all the way to the ceiling, and a thin layer of dust covering the entire space when they heard a tinkling bell somewhere in the shop's depths. "Good afternoon," said a quiet voice. An elderly man stood in front of them, his broad, pale eyes gleaming through the shop's gloom like moons. "Hello," said Naruto. "Garrick Ollivander is my name." The old man looked at Naruto and said, "Welcome to the Ollivanders Wand Shop, the best wand shop in Britain. A student?" After saying, "Yes," Shizune put her hand on Naruto's shoulder and said, "Naruto needs a wand." "Who are you, may I ask? Do you consider yourself a witch?" Mr. Ollivander inquired. "Because I know every wand I've ever sold, and I don't recall you purchasing one here." "My name is Shizune. I'm not British," she replied. "Really? So, where are you from?" "Japan," she said, her voice annoyed. "Aha. Yeah," he replied, turning to face Naruto. "What's your name?" "Naruto Uzumaki." "Uzumaki? Do you have any connection to Uzumaki Enterprises?" "Yes," Naruto replied. "I am Uzumaki Enterprises' heir." "Nice to meet you," Ollivander said, abruptly grabbing his hand and shaking it. "Uzumaki Enterprises supplies the majority of the wand making materials for my shops." Naruto said, "Okay, old man," and withdrew his hand. Pulling a long tape measure with silver markings out of his pocket, Mr. Ollivander said, "Well, now, Mr. Uzumaki, let me see, which is your wand arm?" "I have ambidexterity. I can use both of my arms," Naruto declared. "Ambidextrous, that's interesting," he remarked while playing with the tape measure. From shoulder to finger, he measured Naruto, then from wrist to elbow, from shoulder to floor, from knee to armpit, and finally around his head. Mr. Every Ollivander wand, Uzumaki, contains a potent magical material at its core. The best wands are what we sell. Every Ollivander wand is unique. They're always distinct and different. Of course, using another wizard's wand will never produce such positive outcomes. The tape measure was measuring Naruto's while Ollivander was chatting and darting about the shelves, removing boxes. Mr. Ollivander said, "That will do," and the tape measure fell to the ground in a heap. "Uzumaki. Give it a try. Dragon heartstring and hawthorn. 10 inches. Pleasant and adaptable." Naruto waved the wand, causing numerous boxes to fall off the shelves, and remarked, "It doesn't feel right." "You are quite right," Ollivander said, snatching it from his grasp as he grabbed another wand for Naruto. "Here, 7.5 inches of willow and unicorn hair, springy. Go ahead and give it a try." When Naruto waved it, a flower pot broke, and Ollivander grabbed it back once more. "Phoenix feather and maple. 7. Very whippy. Try." It appeared that Naruto had tried nearly every wand in the store, damaging the wand shop in the process, but he was unable to find the one that was right for him. "How is this even possible? Not a single wizard has ever been turned away by so many wands," Ollivander said incredulously. "As a member of the Uzumaki clan, he has both an exceptionally long life span and a high-potency level of magic compared to others," Shizune told him. "Really?" Surprised, Ollivander said, "Why didn't you tell me this earlier?" She said, "Because you never asked me," but she secretly thought, "Serves you right for annoying me before." He stopped and looked into Naruto's eyes before he went to get him a new wand. "You have 2 eyes of different colors?" As he approached Naruto, Ollivander remarked, "You have heterochromia?" "Yes." He muttered under his breath, "Interesting," and proceeded to the back room, grabbing a wand that Naruto had not yet used. Ollivander looked around the back room until he came across a locked black wand box. "I wonder," he pondered. After taking the box, he turned around and approached the boy again slowly. Ollivander approached him, opened a drawer, and took out a key to open the box as Naruto looked up from the counter. "Here, try this one." Naruto noticed the wand, which was black with a purple design that made him think of Karasu's feathers, and he could hear the nervousness in the man's voice. A purple, black river appeared to flow from the wand, twisting and turning and slithering around him before coming to a stop just above his head. The end of the red river twisted into a large black bird, resembling a raven, which opened its wings and let out a loud cry of joy that broke all the glass items in the shop before dissolving into tiny black dust particles. Naruto felt a sudden warmth in his fingers before the amazing event began. "Whoa, I'll take this," Naruto said. "What is the amount?" He looked around the store, sobbing anime. Styled at his once clean store was now a mess, but Ollivander didn't hear him. This caused Shizune and Naruto to perspire. "Don't worry, I'll pay extra for it," Naruto continued. "In any case, your wand is among the oldest wands in my shop." "Thank you," Ollivander said, taking a deep breath. "My great-grandfather crafted it. 12.3 of an inch. Yes. Its core is uncommon, very particular, and hazardous. One wizard in my father's day attempted to use this wand by casting a spell with force. It was a poor choice." He turned to face Naruto and said, "You see, most of the time a wand will not cooperate with a wizard, but this wand did something more evil. That wizard's soul was devoured by it, leaving him a hollow shell. What is at its heart?" While Naruto was anxiously awaiting his response, Shizune inquired inquisitively about the wand. "Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know much about it." Naruto and Shizune both almost collapsed on the floor upon hearing his response. "What do you mean that you're ignorant?" Shizune yelled. "When my great-grandfather was in Japan gathering new wand ingredients, he discovered it. The feather of an unidentified black bird forms the wand's core. According to my great-grandfather's description, he only caught a glimpse of the bird before it vanished into the darkness, leaving only its lone black feather on the ground. I recognize this," Naruto thought. "Can you tell me more about this feather?" he asked. "From my great-grandfather has written about it that it was beautiful black-colored feather with purple-colored rune-like markings over it," Naruto said, "a Yatagarasu's feather, in closing." "That's why," Shizune remarked, glancing at the purple marking covering Naruto's wand. "This marking looks familiar to me." "You mean the three-legged crow, Yatagarasu?" Naruto nodded in response to Ollivander's question. "Are you sure?" "Yes. They have the ability to vanish into the shadow and have black feathers with purple rune-like markings on them," Naruto remarked. "Naruto know more than anyone in the world about them, because his animal companion is a Yatagarasu," said Shizune. Ollivander simply gazed at Naruto, looking shocked. "You have a Yatagarasu as an animal companion?" he inquired. "Yes," Naruto replied, noticing the hungry expression in his eyes. "No," Naruto said, perspiring. "You won't get her feather from me. She adores her feathers dearly." Ollivander said, "Well, okay," with a tone of disappointment. "Anyway," Naruto said, "is it possible for you to create a personalized wand handle for me?" "What kind of handle do you want?" asked Ollivander, nodding. He inquired. Naruto said, "Well, I want," outlining his specifications for his wand handle. "Can you do that?" "Yes, I can," Ollivander replied. "It would take me minimum of 2 hours to make it for you." "Also," Naruto said, passing his wand to Mr. Ollivander. He then produced a small red bag from his pocket and gave it to Wandmaker, saying, "Place it on the end of my wand handle." "Where did you find this?" Ollivander asked, opening the bag and peering inside. "They are extremely uncommon." "It belongs to my family," Naruto declared. Both Naruto and Shizune were now outside the wand shop, strolling down the street with their cart magically following them while it was loaded with Naruto's school supplies, including clothes, books, and other materials. "Now what?" Shizune inquired. Saying, "Let's check out that shop," Naruto gestured toward the magical menagerie store. After putting on a security charm, they left their cart outside and went into the magical menagerie, a pet store that was extremely small and noisy, with cages covering every available space. When they turned around, they saw a woman in her 60s saying, "Welcome to the magical menagerie. What can I do for you, madam and sir?" Shizune was about to say, "We are Zhu," when the elderly woman abruptly stepped in front of her and took her hand. The elderly woman pulled Shizune along with her and began showing her the different animals in her shop. "I've got the perfect pet for you, madam," she said. Shizune was struggling to break free from the old lady's grasp, but her efforts were in vain. The elderly woman, who appeared to be stronger than her age indicated, was holding her perfectly, and Naruto's perspiration dropped. Naruto asked himself, is she related to Grandma Tsunade? No, I don't think so. Amidst all the commotion in the store, a peculiar hissing sound emanated from the corner. Well, a peculiar hissing sound for an ordinary person, but not for Naruto. "Hi there. Is Anion Hera? The voice that hissed said. After putting his head aside to listen, Naruto slowly turned his head in the direction of the noise and glanced at the shop's corner before narrowing his eyes and moving in the direction the voice had come from. Naruto remarked, "That's interesting." A large white snake, about the size of an average king cobra, was housed in a large glass tank in the shop's corner. His scales were more mother of pearl in color and appeared to have been glossed with the finest polish. He was a rather attractive snake, with a small red diamond in the center of his head that stood 3 feet off the ground. And his eyes with their slits like the brightest gold flakes. Naruto positioned himself in front of the tank and gave the snake a close inspection. "What's your name?" he inquired in Parseltongue, which is the language of serpents. It hissed like a snake. His golden eyes met Snake's. "I have no name," he said. Naruto said, "Then I'll give you one. What do you think about Nagi?" By nodding his head, the snake said, "Nagi, it is a good name. Are you from here? Do I not KNOV? Would you like to visit me?" Nagi nodded when Naruto asked, "Give me a few minutes, please." After turning around, Naruto began to move in the direction of the cashier counter. As he walked, he thought, that snake isn't a normal magical animal. He sensed a strong magical energy emanating from Nagi. He noticed Shizune holding a white cat in her hand when he reached over to the counter. When Shizune spotted Naruto, she said, "Look at her, Naruto-kun, isn't she cute?" She pointed to a white cat as she spoke. Naruto saw that the large, adorable cat was emitting a tiny magical energy. She had a bottlebrush tail, a pure white coat, and large blue eyes. "She isn't your typical feline, is she?" Naruto uttered those words. The elderly woman stated, "You are correct, young man. She is a crossbreed of a cat and a Neasel." Naruto gazed at the cat and remarked, Shizune Chan, she's adorable. In any case, what will you call her?" Shizune peered at the cat and got a purr in return. "I'm going to name you Miyuki," she said. After saying, "Nice name," Naruto turned to face the elderly woman and pointed to a specific area of the store, saying, "I want to buy that white snake." "Do you wish to purchase a snake?" the elderly woman inquired in a startled manner. "Yes," replied Naruto, "but why are you shocked?" "Snakes are typically associated with the dark arts," the elderly woman stated. "Because of you." "No. Not many people enjoy snakes these days," she whispered in the final line. "But I want to buy him," Naruto said, nodding. "Well, alright," said the elderly woman. Both Shizune and Naruto approached the white snake when she went to the back room to retrieve the necessary papers. Shizune remarked, "He's really a pretty snake," after spotting a white snake. Naruto remarked, "He's also intelligent, you talked to him," Shizune said abruptly as she turned to face him. Naruto nodded. "Parcel mouth is the mark of a dark wizard for everyone, especially in Britain," Shizune said. "Therefore, please make an effort to refrain from using parcel tongue in public settings going forward." After nodding, Naruto said, "I'll try, Shizune-chan." After a few minutes, the elderly woman approached them with the required documents. Saying, "These are your papers," she gave them papers. After reading the documents she gave them, they signed their names, the amount they were paying, and gave the old woman their money. The elderly woman said, "Thank you," and took the money and documents from them. "Can you elaborate on him for me?" Pointing to his new pet, Naruto posed the question. "He is poisonous, that's for sure. However, he is a generally docile snake, so don't worry. Fish is his favorite food. I'm not sure what breed he is, but he is a cross between a king cobra and a magical snake. No crossbreed has that much magical energy," Naruto thought, "so I don't think he is a crossbreed." They returned to Ollivander's wand store after spending a considerable amount of time examining numerous magical objects in different stores. As soon as Naruto and Shizune entered the store, they saw additional damage. "Miss and Mr. Uzumaki, welcome back." When Ollivander saw them both, he said, "Shizune. An additional client?" Naruto pointed to additional damage and asked. Ollivander replied, Yes, a very tricky customer. Regardless, is Naruto's wand prepared?" Shizune abruptly stopped talking and asked. Ollivander replied, "Yes, it is," and returned with a black wand box from his shop's back room. "Here it is." When Ollivander opened the box, they saw Naruto's wand, which was identical except for a new silvery black handle that was engraved with a black raven and a silvery white snake. The snake's mouth was open and wrapped around the upper wand, while its tail and rest of body were wrapped around the raven. A small blood-red ruby, held by one of the raven's talon, was located at the bottom of the handle, and the Uzumaki clan's swirl was visible if one looked closely. "Beautiful," said Shizune. Naruto said, "You did a great job, old man," and he was quite pleased with his new handle. Ollivander said, "Thank you," with joy. He wrapped Naruto's wand in brown paper, returned it to its box, and handed it to Shizune. "How much does everything cost in total?" After removing Naruto's wand from his grasp, Shizune posed the question. 15 gallons for the wand and 5 gallons for the custom handle, said Ollivander, total 20 gallons. Extra 5 for the damage, Shizune said, giving him 25 gallons. Thank you, Ollivander said, nodding. You are my second famous customer in this year, whom I've sold a wand, he said, alluding to Naruto's well-known status as the son of Minato and Kushina and the heir to the Uzumaki enterprises. Who is the first? Shizune inquired inquisitively. Harry Potter, replied Ollivander. This year, will Harry Potter be attending Hogwarts? Naruto inquired. Ollivander gave a nod. Naruto thought to himself, this is interesting. He then turned to face the wandmaker and said, anyway, goodbye, see you later. Goodbye, Mr. Uzumaki, and good luck with your future studies in Hogwarts, said Ollivander. As he and Shizune walked out of the wand store, Naruto nodded. Snape was waiting for Naruto and Shizune as they made their way back down Diagon Alley, back through the wall, and back through the leaky cauldron in the middle of the afternoon, with the sun shining brightly overhead. Hello, Professor Snape. Good afternoon, Snape.san. Shizune and Naruto both greeted him. After saying, good afternoon, Snape said, you like snakes? He then pointed out a snake dozing inside the tank on his cart. Shizune narrowed her eyes at him and said, yes, he likes snakes. Are you among those who believe that snakes are a representation of the dark arts? No, I'm the head of Slytherin House, and a snake is its emblematic animal, Snape said, shaking his head. Oh. Shizune apologized for the miscommunication. This is a ticket for the Hogwarts Express, Snape said, removing a ticket from his pocket and passing the slip of paper to Shizune in the process. The ticket has all the necessary information printed on it. Before he vanished with a pop, he said, ask your lobby manager about platform 9 and 3/4. Platform 9 and 3/4. He will tell you more about it. He is cold, Shizune remarked, but he is a good man. Naruto remarked, yes, but his heart is filled with pain, guilt, and regret, having felt those feelings from the bottom of Snape's heart. With that, Naruto once more dazzled Shizune with his capacity for empathy. Shizune put her hand on Naruto's shoulder and said, anyway, let's go, before vanishing with a loud crack. Naruto pushed his cart with Naji's tank and his trunk on it, asking, now, what's the platform number? Shizune had put a charm on it to hide the big white snake. 9 and 3/4, stated Shizune. She held her new pet cat, Miyuki, in her left hand and Naruto's Hogwarts Express ticket in her right. They had both reached King's Cross Station on schedule. They were now looking for number 9 and 3/4's platform. What did lobby manager say to you about platform 9 and 3/4? Naruto repeated. He said to get onto platform 9 and 3/4. We would have to walk directly at the apparently solid metal ticket box dividing platforms 9 and 10. Then let's find 9 and 10. A little red-headed girl, perhaps 10 years old, was standing there when they arrived. She was gazing at the partition that separated platforms 9 and 10. Naruto walked over to her. Her magical energy was palpable to him. Is this entrance of platform 9 and 3/4? He asked, pointing to the barrier, assuming she must come from a magical family. The girl blinked as a sudden realization struck her after unconsciously nodding her head without glancing at him. Wah, she said, noticing Naruto with a cart. Yes, this is an entrance of platform 9 and 3/4. According to Naruto, thank you. Why are you standing here alone? Where are your parents? Asked Shizune. They are inside with my brothers, who are going off to Hogwarts, said the child. Why aren't you with them? Shizune inquired. Her response was, because my mom said I'm not old enough. Her tone made it clear to Naruto that she was upset. Can you show us how to get onto the platform? Asked the man. What about my mother? I'll tell her, you are showing us the entrance of the platform, Shizune replied. With hope, the red-haired girl said, really? Shizune gave a head nod. With shyness, she said, thanks. My name is Ginevra Weasley. Call me Ginny. I'm Naruto and she, Naruto said, pointing to Shizune, is my big sister Shizune. Now, Ginny. Can you show us how to get onto the platform? Shizune asked. It's getting late. Naruto and Shizune trailed behind Ginny as she nodded and entered the barrier. A rush of cool air swept over them, and the nearby King's Cross station vanished, to be replaced by a sizable train platform. There were a ton of people in there. Overhead, there was a sign that read Hogwarts Express, 11 o'clock. Looking over his shoulder, Naruto noticed that the barrier had been replaced by a wrought iron archway bearing the inscriptions Platform 9 and 3/4. Naruto gave Shizune a look, saying, "Goodbye Shizune Chan." He hugged her. He then looked at Ginny. "Thanks for help, Ginny, and goodbye. Next time see you at the Hogwarts." Pushing his trolley forward, he started running in the direction of the Hogwarts Express. From behind Shizune and Ginny, a woman's voice asked, "Ginny, what are you doing here?" They pivoted. The speaker was a red-haired, plump woman. "Mom," Ginny said. Shizune defended the girl by saying, "She is here because of me and my brother. We are new here, so she helped us to get onto platform. She is a good girl." Ginny's mother questioned, "Really?" Ginny gave a nod. "I'm proud of you, Ginny." She turned to Shizune after hugging her daughter. "Hello, I'm Ginny's mom, Molly Weasley." Shizune said, "Nice to meet you," and bowed her head slightly. "My name is Shizune." Naruto was searching for an empty seat while Shizune and Molly were conversing. Students were already crammed into the first few carriages, with some fighting for seats and others hanging out the window to chat with their families. In pursuit of an unoccupied seat, he pushed his cart off down the platform. Through the chatting crowd, Naruto persisted until he came to an empty compartment. He placed Nagi's bulky glass tank beneath the overhead ramp with ease. Then, as if it were nothing, he climbed into the carriage and used one hand to lift the much heavier metal trunk. He set his trunk on the ramp and peered at Nagi's glass tank. In his own words, "I can't carry both of them." His pet snake, Nagi, hissed, "Vel, Moster, I can walk with HHU, using snake tongue." Near Nagi's tank, Naruto whispered in English, "Sorry, but no, I don't want to scare all the students half to death," so that only he could hear. To others, he appeared to be staring at his snake. Given his intelligence, Nagi was able to comprehend what his master was saying to him. Behind him, there was a lovely feminine sound that said, "Excuse me." Naruto looked around, trying to find the source of the noise. She was wearing a plain dark purple blouse and a red plum skirt, and she was standing there with a big metal trunk in her hand. She was a lovely girl with fair skin. Her dark blue eyes and cheeks were roughly framed by her long, straight, black hair with bangs hanging on either side of her face. He said, "Please, let me help you, miss," and raised her trunk to position it in the overhead ramp. He then assisted her in boarding the carriage. "Thanks," said the girl. She inhaled deeply before slowly extending her hand to him. "My name is Belinda Dark, but you can call me Bella." Naruto took her gentle hand and gave it a shake. "Nice to meet you, Bella." "I'm Naruto," he replied. Bella started to lift her trunk, but Naruto stopped her before she could do so. His words were, "Don't worry about it, but you already have your luggage, and I don't want to bother you." "I can handle it," Bella replied. Naruto remarked, "Bella, I can handle it. I have my ways." His magical charm bag, which hung on the right side of his waist, was the safest place to keep valuables, especially wands, and he took it out as he did so. He tapped his wand on his and Bella's luggage and whispered something very softly. Nagi's glass tank and both trunks rose several feet into the air. Bella exclaimed, "Wow! Shall we go now?" inquired Naruto. Belle nodded as they started to move in the direction of a compartment, their luggage magically trailing behind them. As he walked with Bella, Naruto thought, "Thank Kami. This train is regarded as an extension of Hogwarts School since it is an official school vehicle. It implies that I am not in violation of the underage magic restrictions when I use magic here." Naruto and Bella both reached for the compartment. They opened the sliding door and noticed a boy sitting far away from the door, staring out the window, with a pale, pointed face. He had gray eyes and platinum blonde hair. The boy's head turned to look at them as Naruto knocked on the door. Naruto noticed a snobbish expression on the boy's face, but chose to ignore it. "Can we sit here with you? All the other compartments are filled?" replied Naruto. With a nod, the boy replied, "Sure." They entered the compartment. Bella took a seat next to Naruto, while Naruto sat across from the boy. As their luggage and snake glass tank entered the compartment, Naruto waved his wand. He positioned Nagi's glass tank on vacant seats next to Bella and his and Bella's trunk in a corner of the compartment using a wand. He returned his wand to the waist bag. He saw that the pale boy in front of him was staring at him with wide, shocked eyes. "What?" inquired Naruto. The pale boy got up from his seat and exclaimed, "Merlin," in a tone of surprise. "You're in first year like me, but you can do the magic so efficiently." "Well, thank you," said Naruto. "But, what about underage magic restrictions law? This train is a school property and you can use magic in the school." The boy said, "I didn't think about that," and he leaned back in his chair. He held out his hand to Naruto. "My name is Draco Malfoy, by the way." Naruto grasped his hand and gave it a firm shake. "I'm Naruto and her name is Bella," he said, introducing both of them. Bella inquired, "There is an underage magic restrictions law?" "Yes," replied Naruto. It surprised him that she was unaware of the law against underage magic. "How you don't know about law? Didn't your parents tell you about it?" asked Draco. Bella said, "I don't have parents," while glancing down at her feet. "I'm an orphan." "Oh, sorry," Draco said without expressing any remorse. Naruto said, "Bella, don't feel ashamed. My parents died the same day I was born," while Bella gazed at him. "If you are an orphan, then make many true friends, because your friends are your future family." Bella gave him a tearful look, and even Draco appeared moved by what he said. "Thanks," she said as she wiped away a few tears. They heard the whistle blow abruptly. Leaning out the window was Draco. Through the window, Naruto saw Shizune waving, so he returned the gesture. When the whistle blew once more, the train began to move and gradually left the station. Draco broke the silence that had existed between them for several minutes. He questioned Naruto, "What kind of wizard are you?" Draco was all Naruto could look at. He inquired, "What do you mean?" "I mean, are you a muggle? Born, half, blood, or pureblood?" "I'm a pureblood." Bella inquired, "What is muggle? Born, half, blood, or pureblood?" "Well," Naruto said, starting to tell her about the magical world in it. Draco was contributing some of his own thoughts to their discussion as well. The train had taken them out of London while they were conversing. They were now racing through sheep and cow fields. For a while, they were silent as they observed the lanes and fields passing by. There was a loud clattering in the hallway at around 12, and a woman with dimples and a smile slid back their door. "Pardon me, but would you like some sweets?" she said. When Bella said, "No thanks, I've brought sandwiches," Naruto said, "Yes, give us 3 of everything," and got up to leave his seat and enter the hallway. The woman received a gold galleon from Naruto. He brought Drubel's best blowing gum, Betty Bott's every flavor beans, and chocolate frogs, licorice wands, cauldron cakes, pumpkin pasties, and a variety of other items were placed in the compartment and placed on an empty seat. Bella fixed Naruto with her gaze. She questioned, "Are you going to eat all of this?" Naruto remarked, "No, this is for all of us, thanks," Draco said as he accepted a licorice wand, a wand-shaped wizarding candy. "No thanks," said Bella. She had removed and opened a small package. Inside were 2 sandwiches. "I don't want to waste my sandwiches." Naruto said, "I'll eat those for you," and took a sandwich. "They aren't special. You don't need to eat them," Bella replied. Naruto remarked, "I like sandwiches," after taking a bite, "and I love strawberry jam." "Go on, try a pasty," Draco advised her, "they're tasty." Bella bit into one of the pumpkin pasties. "Yes, it's good." They discussed a wide range of fascinating subjects while eating, including magic, games, and food. A pack of chocolate frogs was taken by Bella. "Chocolate frogs? That's really weird. Does it taste good?" she inquired. When Naruto saw her face, he trailed off, "Yes, but as soon as you open it you got to eat it fast, because they will hop away and..." "No, they are not really alive, just enchanted. They also have cards inside them. They are cards of famous witches and wizards. I've got about 800, said Draco. After calming down, Bella chose to sample a chocolate frog. The frog hopped away before she could stop it when she opened her container. With a sigh, Bella examined the wizard card she had been given. The face of a man was visible. He wore a white haori over his regular clothes, and he had spiky blonde hair and bright blue eyes. He was Minato Namikaze, Draco uttered while examining the card she was holding. You are lucky. He and his wife Kushina Uzumaki are some of the rarest cards in the chocolate frog cards. They are my favorite. I've 5 of both of them. When she flipped the card over again, Minato was no longer there. Naruto said, don't worry. He'll be back, and he ate his own chocolate frog before it had a chance to escape. He took the card. 2 boys entered their compartment after there was a sudden knock on the door. They both appeared very mean and were thick-set. One boy was noticeably bigger than Naruto and Draco, with broad shoulders and a thick neck. The other boy was large and extremely fat. "Crab, Goyle!" exclaimed Draco. Crab said, "Draco, we have news," in a voice that was surprisingly quiet for someone so big. Draco gave a nod and got to his feet. "Naruto, Bella. These are my friends Crab and Goyle," he said, glancing at Naruto and Bella. She said, "Nice to meet you, Bella," like she said, expressed Naruto. Goyle and Crab both gave a head nod. Draco said, "See you later," and he and his companions departed. "Take this," said Naruto. He handed his chocolate frog card to Bella. He is incomplete without her. They are soulmates. Bella accepted the card. It was Kushina Uzumaki's card, Minato's wife. Her skin was fair, her eyes were violet, and she had fiery red hair that framed her face on both sides. Her hair was parted to the left with a black clip. "She is gorgeous," Bella remarked. "According to Naruto, thank you." "Why are you thanking me?" "Nothing." They tried the last of the candies. They sampled chocolate frogs, Betty Drooble's best blowing gum. A variety of items, including licorice wands, cauldron cakes, and pumpkin pasties. The every flavor beans were enjoyable to them. Bella received baked beans, strawberries, curry, and grass, while Naruto received toast, coconut, coffee, and sardine. The countryside was getting wilder as it flew past the window. The tidy fields were gone. Dark green hills, winding rivers, and forests were now present. "I think we should change into our uniforms now," Naruto said. Bella gave a nod. Naruto stepped out of the compartment and shut the sliding door so she could change in privacy. He came back after she finished so fast. Bella was wearing the Hogwarts girl's uniform, which included an open black buttoned robe, a gray knit V-neck jumper, a gray pleated skirt, plain black shoes, gray socks, and a white buttoned shirt with thick stripes. Naruto walked over to his trunk, opened it, and began sorting through his clothes. He produced a boy's uniform from Hogwarts. He turned and watched Bella leave the compartment. "There's no need to that," he said, setting his uniform down on a vacant seat. "Huh?" Naruto took out his wand and placed its tip on his Hogwarts uniform. Suppono subpono. His old clothes were on the seat, and in a flash of light, he was wearing the Hogwarts boy's uniform, which included an open black buttoned robe, a gray knit V-neck jumper, gray trousers, brown shoes, gray socks, and a plain white buttoned shirt with a tie. Bella exclaimed, "Wow! We can do that with magic too?" Naruto said, "Anything is possible with magic," as he started to walk towards his trunk while grabbing his old clothes off the seat. To disprove his assertion, she posed the question, "Can magic bring the dead back to life?" Naruto came to a halt and faced her once more. He shocked her by saying, "Yes, it can," in a dark tone. "Really? Yes. But all things do come at a price. You cannot gain anything without first giving something in return. To obtain something of equal value must be lost." Turning around, he started walking towards the trunk. "To bring the dead back to life, you must present something of equal value to life." "What is the equal value of life?" Naruto replied, "Life," and placed his old clothes in the trunk. Startled, Bella uttered, "You mean?" Naruto looked at her and remarked, "You'll have to kill someone to resurrect them. It is dark magic and it is bad, very bad. But if you ask me, the magic itself is not good or bad. The intent of the person casting the magic is what makes it good or bad." Bella grinned and remarked, "You really have a weird philosophy, but I like it." "Thanks." The round-faced boy Naruto recognized entered their compartment after a knock on the door was answered by a bushy-haired girl with bucked teeth, dressed in her new Hogwarts robes. The child replied, "Hi. My name is Hermione Granger. Has anyone seen a toad? Nevi?" "Hello, Neville," exclaimed Naruto. It was Neville who said, "Hi, Naruto." Naruto inquired, "What happened?" Neville remarked, "I've lost my toad again. Naruto, have you seen a toad?" Naruto gave a headshake. "But I'll help you to find it," he said, getting up from his chair. He gave Bella a look. "Want to come with me?" Bella said, "Sure," and got up from her chair. Naruto introduced Neville to Bella, saying, "Bella, this is Neville. I met him in Diagon Alley." Then he gestured to the girl with the bushy hair. "She is. What is your name?" The girl with the bushy hair said, "My name is Hermione Granger," in a displeased tone. "Nice to meet you, Hermione. I am Bella," Bella said. "And I'm Naruto." Following the introduction, they emerged from the compartment to discover the missing toad. "Neville, Bella, Naruto, and Hermione were all searching for Trevor, Neville's pet toad. Naruto whispered, "She is really eager to help you," in Neville's ear. Neville gave a head nod. Bella, Naruto, and Neville were following Hermione as she searched every compartment for the missing toad. Neville said, "Naruto, while continuing to move, after you talked to Gran, she's been behaving me differently. She has become a lot nicer to me. She's still strict, but it's okay for me. Thank you." To which Naruto replied, "You are welcome, Neville." Hermione pointed to a different compartment and said, "Hey, let's check out this compartment. They must know something about your toad." Neville remarked, "Hermione, I've already asked them. They don't know anything," but she didn't hear him. She opened the door to the compartment. Two boys were seated close to the window. Red-haired was the first. He held a very battered looking wand in his right hand and a fat, gray rat on his lap. Is he attempting to enchant the rat? Naruto and Bella pondered. The other boy's jet black hair was messy and covered his green eyes and forehead. Naruto's keen eyes glimpsed a scar on his forehead that resembled a lightning bolt. This is Harry Potter, then. Naruto assumed the redhead was Ginny's brother. Harry clenched his scar in agony as they entered the compartment. According to the red-headed boy, "Are you okay, Harry?" "Yes," Harry replied, sensing the agony subsiding from his scar. Hermione said, "Has anyone seen a toad? Neville's lost one." The red-haired boy answered, "We've already told him we haven't seen it." Hermione sat down in front of them and looked at the wand in his hand, saying, "Oh, are you doing magic? Let's see it, then." Saying, "We also want to see some magic," Naruto was referring to Bella, Neville, and himself. They sat down beside Hermione. The redhead appeared surprised. All right," he said, clearing his throat before speaking. "Sunshine, daisies, buttermellow, turn this stupid, fat rat yellow." When Naruto heard his foolish spell, he began to perspire. He must have been pranked, he thought. Nothing happened when the boy waved his wand. "Are you sure that's a real spell?" Hermione asked. "Well, it's not very good, is it? I've tried a few simple spells just for practice, and they've all worked for me. For example, Oculus Reparo," as she flicked her wand at Harry's glasses. Harry removed the glasses to take a look at them after they appeared to mend themselves. Then she started talking quickly, really quickly, and began to tell them about herself. "Nobody in my family's magic at all. It was ever such a surprise when I got my letter, but I was ever so pleased. Of course, I mean, it's the very best school of witchcraft there is. I've heard. I've learned all our course books by heart. Of course, I just hope it will be enough. I'm Hermione Granger. By the way, who are you?" She said all at once. No one spoke, and there was silence. The only response she received from the redhead was, "Huh?" Naruto saw Bella, Neville, Ginny's brother, and Harry Potter staring at her with bewildered and stunned expressions. He chose to simplify her speech for them because, aside from the first sentence in her name, they didn't understand a word she said. Ahem, was Naruto's way of drawing their attention by clearing his throat. Everyone's eyes were on him. "Allow me to simplify it for you. She is a Muggle. Born witch. Her family didn't know about the existence of magic until she got an invitation letter from Hogwarts. Anyway, she likes study. Her hobby is reading. She wants to make her parents proud of her by becoming a great witch. She knows a few spells from the books and you saw that she can do them easily," he said to Hermione. "Do you want to add anything extra in that?" Hermione's mouth fell to the floor. He told them a lot of things about her that she hadn't mentioned. "We've never met each other before, so how do you know about my dream and hobby?" "I guessed it," said Naruto. He glanced at Ginny's brother and Harry. Putting a hand on Bella, he said, "She's Belinda Dark, call her Bella, and you already know her name," while pointing to Hermione. "My name is Naruto. He said, pointing to Neville, is Neville Longbottom. So who are you guys?" "I'm Ron Weasley," Ron whispered. In Harry's words, Harry Potter. "Are you really?" inquired Neville. Harry gave a head nod. "Wow, I know all about you, of course. I got a few extra books for background reading, and you're in modern magical history and the rise and fall of the dark arts and great wizarding events of the 20th century, Hermione replied. Bella, who knew nothing about Harry Potter, turned to Naruto for an explanation. Naruto whispered, "I'll tell you later," in her ear. She gave a nod. Harry asked in a daze, "Am I? Goodness, didn't you know? I'd have found out everything I could if it was me," Hermione replied. "Do either of you know what house you'll be in?" "I've been asking around, and I hope I'm in Gryffindor," It sounds by far the best. I hear Dumbledore himself was in it, but I suppose Ravenclaw would. Naruto interrupted Hermione in the middle of her sentence, saying, "We'd better go now. We still have to search Neville's missing toad." He got out of his chair. Looking down at Ron, I said, "But first, what did you want to do with your rat earlier?" "Huh, I wanted to change Scabbers' color," said Ron. "And who taught you that spell?" My brothers Fred and George." "Do they like prank?" "Yes," Ron replied. "Why do you want to know about that?" "I have to say, they'll succeed in doing a prank on you." Ron's jaw fell open in disbelief. Hat. "It wasn't a color-changing spell. It was your humiliation spell," Naruto replied. He took his wand out. Pointing his wand at Ron's rat, he exclaimed, "The spell was fake. This is real spell. Multi-Colivaria." The rat turned neon. Green instead of gray. "Let's go." He turned around and began to leave. Ron yelled, "Hey, what about Scabbers?" and gestured toward his neon, green rat. Naruto reassured Ron, "Don't worry about it. The spell's effect will wear off soon," and Ron let out a sigh of relief. He went on to say, "Soon means in 2-3 days." Ron exclaimed, "What?" His rat's color abruptly changed from neon green to vivid orange once more. Naruto said, "I apologize for not informing you that I made some changes to the spell. His color will change every few minutes," and he departed with Bella, Hermione, and Neville. "Whatever house I'm in, I hope he and that girl Hermione are not in it," said Ron. His wand he tossed back into his trunk. His rat, which was now green with pink dots, caught his attention. "Oh, Scabbers." It was Hermione who said, "Why did you do that?" Naruto remarked, "Because it was funny, and as I said, effective spell will wear off in 2-3 days, so no harm done." "Hey, I saw Trevor there," Neville exclaimed. He ran to one side of the train corridor after pointing to it. Hermione yelled, "Neville, wait for us," as Bella and Naruto chased after him. After a short while, they were standing in front of Harry's compartment, just as they had been. Hermione remarked, "It was a waste of time." She gave off a whiff, as if she were worn out. Belle gave a nod of agreement. She was breathing heavily, too. The running had left Neville breathless. "But I really saw Trevor there," he said. "It was fun," Naruto remarked. Even after all the running, he appeared perfectly normal. Suddenly, they heard what sounded like a scream coming from Harry's compartment. Neville, a little alarmed, asked, "Did you hear that?" "Yes, and it's coming from Harry's compartment," Naruto replied. They all dashed in the direction of the compartment. Harry, Ron, Draco, and Draco's friend Crabbe and Goyle were all there when they opened the sliding door, except for Naruto and Bella. When Naruto saw Goyle frantically swinging his arm in an attempt to remove the bright pink Scabbers, whose teeth had dug into his chubby finger, he began to perspire. He questioned, "What's going on here?" Draco turned to face him when he heard a familiar voice. He pointed to Scabbers, who was now red with green lines, and said, "Naruto, please do something about that rat." Scabbers flew off the big boy's finger and struck the window before Naruto could take any action. Draco nodded when Naruto said, "Draco, you and your friends, come with me, if you don't want to be kicked out of the school before the first semester even starts." He turned to Neville and Hermione. "Goodbye." Along with Bella, Draco, Crabbe, and Goyle, he departed. Now that they were outside of Harry's compartment, Naruto, Bella, Draco, and Draco's companions were making their way to their own compartment. Naruto questioned Draco, "Why were you fighting with Harry, Ron, and Ron's pet Scabbers?" To which Draco replied, "They got on my nerves." Harry must have turned down Draco's offer of friendship, thought Naruto, shaking his head. "You'd better hurry up and put your robes on. We've just been up to the front to ask the conductor, and he says we're nearly there," he told them. The train was filled with voices. "We will be reaching Hogwarts in 5 minutes' time. Please leave your luggage on the train. It will be taken to the school separately." Naruto and Bella joined the crowd in the hallway. A man was yelling, Furs years over here," to get the attention of first-year students. At 11 feet, 6 inches tall and 3 times as wide, he was roughly twice as tall as the average man. He had a beard that covered most of his face and a long mane of shaggy black hair. His dark eyes glinted like black beetles, and his skin was light. Naruto gazed at the man and exclaimed, "Whoa, I never saw a man as big as him." "That's Hagrid," mentioned Bella. She was walking next to him. "He is the gamekeeper at Hogwarts." "And how did you know that?" Naruto asked, turning to face her. Bella described her first encounter with Hagrid, including how Dumbledore brought them together and how Hagrid assisted her with school shopping, among other things. Hagrid repeated, "Furs. Years over here." They shivered in the cold night air as they followed him down a slick path. There was nothing to see, and the night was completely dark. Just around this bend here, Hagrid called over his shoulder, "You all get her first sight o' Hogwarts in a sec." The crowd let out many gasps of delight after the rounded bend. There was a large, black lake in front of them, and a tall mountain beyond it. The outline of a magnificent castle could be seen on the mountaintop, with lights blazing in the windows. Hagrid yelled, "No more in 5 to a boat," and gestured toward a group of small boats that were parked in the water near the shore. They went to the closest one after Draco and his friends. "Everyone in!" yelled Hagrid, who was alone in his boat. Right then, forward. They sailed through an ivy curtain and down a long, dark tunnel until they came to a cliff and an underground harbor that was dimly lit. Everyone left the boats with moans and complaints of numb limbs. Hagrid guided them up a set of stone stairs before coming to a halt at imposing oak doors. With a huge fist, Hagrid rapped on the castle door 3 times. The doors opened to reveal a grim-faced witch with her black hair pulled back in a tight bun. Hagrid uttered, "The Furs years, Professor McGonagall." After saying, "Thank you, Hagrid. I will take them from here," she opened the door to let them in. The foyer was spacious. A grand marble staircase facing them led to the upper floors. The ceiling was too high to see, and the stone walls were lighted with flaming torches similar to those at Gringotts. They walked across the flagged stone floor behind Professor McGonagall. She led the first-year students into a tiny, deserted room off the hallway. He said, "Welcome to Hogwarts, Professor McGonagall. Before you sit down in the Great Hall for the start of term banquet, you will be sorted into your houses. This is a very important ceremony because, during your time here, your house will function as your family within Hogwarts. You will participate in classes with the other members of your house, sleep in your house dormitory, and spend your free time in the common room. Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin are the names of the 4 houses. Every house has a distinguished past and has produced exceptional wizards and witches. During your time at Hogwarts, you will gain house points for your victories and lose house points for breaking the rules. The house with the most points at the end of the year receives the prestigious House Cup. Whichever house you end up with, I hope you'll all be a credit to it. The sorting ceremony will take place in a few minutes in front of the rest of the school. I suggest you all smarten yourselves up as much as you can while you are waiting." She glanced at every pupil. "I shall return when we are ready for you," she said. "Please wait quietly." She walked out of the room. Naruto asked Draco, "How exactly do they sort us into houses?" Draco said, "I don't have clue," with a nervous expression. Naruto arched an eyebrow, but remained silent. Curious, he glanced around and noticed that everyone else appeared frightened. Hermione, who was whispering quickly about all the spells she had learned and wondering which one she would need, was the only one speaking. Several people screamed as the group of ghosts suddenly drifted through the wall. They were in the midst of a conversation, silvery and translucent. It was Professor McGonagall's piercing voice. She told first-year students to move along now. The sorting ceremony's about to start. Now, form a line and follow me. They entered the Great Hall under her direction. Over 4 long tables, where the other students sat, thousands and thousands of candles floated in midair, lighting it. Glistening golden goblets and plates were placed on these tables. The teachers were seated at another long table at the top of the hall. Naruto noticed Snape and Dumbledore seated in their chairs. He heard Hermione's voice abruptly. "It's bewitched to look like the sky outside. I read about it in Hogwarts, a history." He looked up, wondering what in the world she was talking about, and saw a velvety black ceiling with stars scattered across it. He looked at the ceiling and thought, "Now, I want something like this in my bedroom." The high table was approached by Professor McGonagall, who positioned a stool in front of it. She placed an old, tattered, and somewhat faded wizard's hat on top of the stool. As everyone's attention was drawn to the hat, the hall fell silent. The hat started to sing a song as a rip appeared at the bottom. "Oh, you might not find me attractive, however, do not judge by appearances. If you can locate me, I'll eat myself, more intelligent than I am. Your bowlers can remain black, your top hats are tall and sleek. I am the sorting hat of Hogwarts. I can also cap them all. Nothing is concealed in your mind. The sorting hat is blind. I will tell you if you try me on, where you should be. Perhaps you should be in Gryffindor, where the courageous at heart reside. Their courage, chivalry, and daring separate the Gryffindors. Perhaps you should be in Hufflepuff, where they are faithful and just. It's true that those patient Hufflepuffs and fearless of labor. Alternatively, in the sage Ravenclaw, if you're mentally prepared. When those with intelligence and intelligence will always come across their kind. Or in Slytherin, maybe you'll find true friendships. Those crafty people will stop at nothing to fulfill their objectives. So don't be scared, put me on, and stay out of trouble. Even though I don't have any, you're in good hands. Because I am a thinking cap. Seriously, the talking hat was Naruto's thought as the hat sang. Students are sorted into houses using a hat. Whoa. All of the students cheered when the song ended. Now Professor McGonagall came forward with a long roll of parchment in his hand. As she started counting names, first year students went one by one to try on the hat. When I call your name, you will put on the hat and sit on the stool to be sorted, she said. Abbott, Hannah, Hufflepuff, Bones, Susan, Hufflepuff, Boot, Terry, Ravenclaw. Following the assignment of each student to a house, the matching table erupted in cheers. Brocklehurst, Mandy, Ravenclaw, Brown, Lavender, Gryffindor, Bulstrode, Millicent, Slytherin, Crabbe, Vincent, Slytherin, Dark, Belinda. Saying, "Good luck," Naruto addressed her. Bella got up from her chair and nodded. Naruto saw Dumbledore examining her intently. After nearly a minute of Bella sitting on the stool, the Sorting Hat yelled, "Slytherin." After that, she took a seat at the Slytherin table. Finch, Fletchley, Justin, Hufflepuff. Before the Sorting Hat proclaimed, "Gryffindor," a sandy-haired boy sat on the stool for nearly a minute, saying, "Finnegan, Seamus." Goyle, Gregory, Slytherin, Granger, Hermione. Hermione eagerly pressed the hat on her head and nearly sprinted to the stool. "Gryffindor," the hat exclaimed. Ron let out a groan. Longbottom, Neville. On his way to the stool, Neville stumbled and fell. Making a decision with Neville took a long time. At last, it yelled, "Gryffindor." In the midst of a flurry of laughter, Neville had to jog back to give it to McDougal, Morag, after running off while still wearing it. Ravenclaw, Malfoy, Draco. Draco approached the stool with a confident and serene demeanor. The Sorting Hat cried out, "Slytherin," as soon as it was within an inch of his head. Draco grinned broadly as he strode off to join Crabbe and Goyle. Now, not many people remained. Moon, Lily, changed to Hufflepuff after Draco. Parkinson, Pansy, changed to Slytherin. Poddle, Padma, and Poddle, Parvati, changed to Ravenclaw and Gryffindor, and Perks, Sally, Anne, changed to Hufflepuff. Potter, Harry. As Harry approached the Sorting Hat, whispers instantly filled the hall. The noise abruptly stopped as he took his place. While the Sorting Hat made its decision, there was silence. Naruto briefly believed he saw Harry muttering with his eyes closed, but the hat then yelled, "Gryffindor." Just as the Gryffindor table erupted in the loudest cheer yet, Harry's face lit up with a broad smile. As the Weasley twins shouted, "We got Potter! We got Potter!" Everyone got up to shake Harry's hand, and Harry took a seat across from the ghost. There were only 5 left. Thomas, Dean, joined the Gryffindor chapter. After a Ravenclaw yelled, "Turpin, Lisa," Naruto took his turn. Uzumaki, Naruto. The hall was suddenly filled with whispers as Naruto moved forward. Uzumaki, did she say? Is he the son of Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze? Naruto noticed Draco's shocked expression as he glanced at the Slytherin table to the right. He then looked over at the teacher's table. He noticed that Albus Dumbledore's eyes were focused on him and twinkled. He also observed that there was a slight gleam of curiosity in Snape's eyes. Naruto picked up the hat and sat down on the stool, his back to the teacher's table. He wore the hat on his head after that. Situated within Naruto's mental environment, the area was a never-ending expanse of empty space. Fragments of broken mirrors had filled it. They appeared to be endless in number and varied in size and shape. The mirrors were pieces of Naruto's memories, and the setting was his mindscape. The Sorting Hat remarked, "I've never seen a complex mind like this," as it floated in space. "Thank you," a voice behind it said. Naruto was standing on top of one of the mirrors. He had a big black cloak wrapped around his body and was dressed in a white shirt, black pants, and black shoes. He proudly displayed the Uzumaki clan symbol on his back. "Now, this is strange. You're not supposed to be here," said the cap. Naruto remarked, "And why is that?" "After all, it is my mind." He moved towards sorting the hat by levitating. "Very well," said the hat. "You're young, but your control over your mind is impressive. Very few wizards can do that." Naruto remarked, "Thank you, but someone did help me for that, anyway, which is my house. It is very difficult. You possess many of the qualities Slytherin: cunning, determination, a strong desire for success, intelligence and wit enough for a Ravenclaw. However, there is also bravery and loyalty and a strong sense of morality in your heart. You are a hard worker and you've quite patience. It is very difficult to sort you in the house." "Then I've an answer," Naruto declared. Location: Hogwarts Hall, outside Naruto's mindscape. Only a minute had gone by in the real world. Every teacher and student was anticipating the outcome of the sorting hat. The house name was abruptly announced by the hat. In the outside world, only a few seconds had passed. Every teacher and student was anticipating the outcome of the sorting hat. The house name was abruptly announced by the hat. Slytherin. The whole Slytherin table erupted in cheers and cries of victory. After removing the hat, Naruto made his way over to the Slytherin table. As he took the seat between Draco and Bella, they began to congratulate him on his presence in their home. Draco gave Naruto a shoulder clap. "Naruto, why didn't you tell me, you're the son of Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze?" he inquired. The reason, Naruto said, "Well, because you didn't ask me." "Now, we can show the Gryffindor their place," said one of the senior Slytherins, "because we have someone who is more famous than their Harry Potter." Bella questioned, "Is Naruto really famous?" "Yes, he is," explained Draco. "Naruto is not only the son of Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze, but also..." The Weasley twins were explaining the same thing to Harry and Hermione at the Gryffindor table while Draco was telling Bella about Naruto at the Slytherin table. They shared freckles and flaming red hair with the rest of the Weasley family. "He is the heir of the Uzumaki Enterprises," Fred replied. "According to his twin brother George, the company who work in both magical and muggle world. The Uzumaki Enterprises controls the majority of trading business in the wizarding world," said Fred. "He is," said George. His brother Fred added, "multi-billionaire," to his sentence. "Wow!" exclaimed Hermione. "Sadly, he is now Slytherin," was Percy Weasley's statement. In addition to being head boy and a Gryffindor prefect, he was the older brother of Ron, George, and Fred. Fred exclaimed, "Hey, it is Ron's turn, Weasley, Ronald." The Ron had turned a delicate shade of green, and now it was his turn. But he didn't have to worry because the hat shouted, "Gryffindor," right away, and Ron sat down beside Harry. With a, "Well done, Ron, excellent," Percy addressed his brother. The sorting was finally finished when Zabini, Blaze, was made a Slytherin. Professor McGonagall removed the sorting hat and rolled up her scroll. Albus Dumbledore was standing up. His arms were spread wide, and he was grinning at the students as though seeing them all there could have made him happier than anything else. "Welcome," he said. "Welcome to a new year at Hogwarts. Before we begin our banquet, I would like to say a few words. And here they are. Nitwit, Blubber, Oddment, Tweak, thank you." He took a seat again. Everyone cheered and clapped. Suddenly, a wide variety of food was placed in the golden dishes in front of them. Bella inquired, "What does Nitwit, Blubber, Oddment, Tweak mean?" Draco said, "It's just meaningless noise if you ask me," as he placed some sausages on his plate. Naruto declared, "Always look underneath the underneath," while heaping food onto his plate. Draco and Bella both turned to face him. "What do you mean?" inquired Draco. Naruto stated, "Well, each of the words represents the negative aspects of the four houses. It says what they think about other houses," while nibbling on a roast potato. The majority of Slytherin students were now staring at him from their meals as he said, "Nitwit is for Ravenclaw, Blubber is for Gryffindor, Oddment is for Slytherin, and Tweak is for Hufflepuff. Or maybe they're just random words for fun." Everyone returned to their meals. As she placed some food on her plate, Bella reaffirmed, "I want to say that again, you have weird philosophy." "But that makes me special," Naruto grinned. Bella started eating after shaking her head. Naruto looked up from his plate when he heard a hoarse whispering voice ask, "So you are an Uzumaki?" He noticed a ghost seated across from him. Pearly, white and slightly translucent, he was extremely pale. His face was gaunt and his black eyes were wide and staring. He carried chains and wore robes smeared with silver bloodstains. Naruto said, "Yes," without displaying any fear, "And you are?" The ghost uttered, "Baron, the ghost of your house." Naruto said, "Well, nice to meet you," and then went back to eating. "You are as courageous as your clan," Baron remarked. Looking at him, Naruto said, "You know about my clan?" "Yes. I had fought with some Uzumaki when I was alive. They were formidable opponent," Baron replied. So tell me, which branch are you from? Naruto declared, I'm the son of the clan head. Baron remarked, then you must be a royal blood. Bella questioned, what is special about them? In my time, they were an extraordinary wizards and witches. Their spells were always stronger than any other witches and wizards, Baron stated. And they had a special power. Draco gave him a curious look and asked, a special power? Naruto showed them his thumb after biting it. As if it had never happened, they observed that the wound on his thumb had fully healed. The advanced healing factor, he stated. We can even grow back our lost limbs or any other body parts without any help from healing magic. It is still there, nice, Baron remarked, glancing intently at Naruto. He left after saying, but if you're from royal family then you've more than just that. One Slytherins told Naruto, who had returned to his meal, this is the first time Bloody Baron has spoken politely to someone. As soon as everyone had consumed as much as they could, the leftover food disappeared from the plates, leaving them immaculate. Desserts came out a moment later. Apple pies, rice pudding, chocolate eclairs and jam donuts, rice pudding, trifle, strawberries, gel. Oh, and blocks of ice cream in every possible flavor. Draco asked, Naruto, what's your Quidditch team? And they started discussing the most popular wizarding game. After 30 minutes, the desserts vanished as well, and Professor Dumbledore stood up once more. There was silence in the hall. Now that we are all fed and watered, I have a few start of term notices to give you, Ahern. Just a few more words. First, year students should be aware that no one is allowed in the forest on the property. It would also be beneficial for some of our older students to keep that in mind. Dumbledore glanced toward the Weasley twins with his sparkling eyes. Mr. Filch, the caretaker, has also asked me to remind everyone that magic is not permitted in the hallways between classes. Anyone interested in playing for their house teams should get in touch with Madam Hooch as Quidditch trials are scheduled for the second week of the term. And finally, I must tell you that this year, the third floor corridor on the right hand side is out of bounds to everyone who does not wish to die a very painful death. Is he not being serious? Bella mumbled something in Naruto's ear. Naruto remarked, I'm not sure, maybe he isn't kidding. Now, let's sing the school song before we turn in for the night. Dumbledore let out a cry as he flicked his wand, seemingly to remove a fly from its end. A long, golden ribbon sprang from it, rising above the tables and twisting itself into words like a snake. Naruto pondered, really, is every great wizard weird? Grandpa Sarutobi is a pervert, Tsunade is an alcoholic and gambler, and now Dumbledore. Dumbledore remarked, everyone chooses their favorite song, and we're off, the school then yelled. Hoggy Warty Hogwarts, 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 please teach us something. Regardless of our age and baldness or young and knee, scabby. We need to fill our heads with some intriguing items. They are currently bare and air-filled, bits of fluff and dead flies. Thus, teach us valuable things. Restore the things we've forgotten. Just try your hardest, we'll take care of the rest. And study until our brains are completely rotten. Everyone finished the song at different times, and only the Weasley twins were left to sing along to a very slow funeral march. Dumbledore used his wand to conduct their final few lines, and he was among the people who clapped the loudest when they were done. Ah, music, he remarked, dabbing at his eyes, a magic that surpasses everything we do here. It's time for bed now. You're off. Follow me. First year Slytherins, a tall boy who was clearly a Slytherin prefect called out. The first year Slytherins trailed the prefect all the way to the Slytherin common room entrance, which is situated behind a stone wall in the Hogwarts castle dungeons. The Slytherin common room, where you will spend a large portion of your time at Hogwarts, is accessible through this door. All you have to do to get in is say the password, which is changed every 2 weeks, and the door will open. Since we wouldn't want anyone else prying into our common room, please don't give the password to anyone who isn't a Slytherin. Remember that Sanctimonia is the current password. Although you don't need to worry about it because your belongings have already been taken there, you will still need to locate your dorms. That concludes it, and congrats on your acceptance into Slytherin. After explaining the password, the prefect led the first year students inside. The common room, which extended partially beneath the lake and was fairly dark, was plastered with dim green lamps and had a lot of low-backed leather sofas with button tufts in dark green and black, skulls, and dark wood cabinets that all looked very grand and expensive. Naruto, let's find our rooms, Draco said, surrounded by his friends and Blaze Zabini, another first year Slytherin, a tall, dark, skinned young man with long, slanting eyes and high cheekbones. Naruto said, "Sure," and he followed them after bidding Bella farewell. Naruto found his room, which was neither too big nor too small, with everything he needed, including a nice bed, a desk, a wardrobe, a bookshelf, and a bathroom. He noticed his trunks standing next to his new bed and Nagi's glass tank on the table. All of them had found their rooms after climbing a short flight of stairs. When he got to his room, he pulled his wand from his magical waist bag, flicked it at Nagi to free him from his glass cage, and then, with another flick, opened his trunk and arranged his clothes in the wardrobe. "Su, Master, vad nov?" Nagi inquired. Without responding, Naruto took a paintbrush and bottle of ink from his magical bag, dipped the brush into the ink, and began writing different symbols on the wall by the door. "Master, what are you doing?" Naruto knew that Nagi could understand him when he said, "Nagi, I'm writing runes, in English." "Why?" "Because I like privacy." Naruto put a paintbrush and ink bottle back in his bag after writing runes on the wall. Then he picked up his wand and placed the tip of it on the rune marking, saying, "Fuin." As the bright light spilled over the other walls in the room, the rune patterns on the wall began to glow. After a few minutes, everything returned to normal, with walls being clean and free of rune markings. "What are they capable of?" Nagi inquired. Naruto described the runes to him, saying, "They are mixture of soundproof runes, anti-thief runes." After getting some new pajamas from his closet, he settled into his new bed and set his bag of magical charms next to him. A familiar black bird emerged from his shadow and settled on Naruto's left shoulder. "Karasu-chan, you can come out now," Naruto said. "Have you found the book?" "Yes, Master," Karasu said, calling forth a big brown leather book that sprang into the air in front of him. The book's title was in Japanese, and the English translation was, "The Uzumaki Clan's Book of the Amazing Magical Creatures." After opening the book and looking for specific information, Naruto remarked, "So I was right, after reading some of it." "Master, what?" Nagi, who had climbed onto the bed and was staring at the book over his shoulder, said. "A large white snake with 4 horn-like protrusions on his head and a red diamond in the center of his head was shown on the page, hissing and striking like a very stressed out snake. When Nagi said, "It is loop like me, since it belongs to your species," Naruto remarked, "The legendary white snake," and started reading up on the creature. Originally from China, the white snakes are a symbol of rebirth due to their skin-shedding behavior. The most distinctive feature of white snakes is a red diamond in the center of their head, which is said to have the ability to heal anything, including the most deadly venom and wounds. Although they can reach a length of 160 feet, they have large yellow eyes, scales that are more mother of pearl in color, and sharp fangs capable of killing a human in a matter of seconds. Among their many magical abilities, white snakes are capable of producing strong magical electricity, changing their own size, deflecting spells with their scales, and becoming invisible. A true king of serpents, they are extremely intelligent giant serpents that can live for over 10,000 years in the wild. Since the 10th century, no white snake sightings have been documented worldwide. "How is Nagi doing in England if his species is from China?" Karasu inquired. "Good night," Naruto said, closing the book and turning to face Nagi. "You need to learn how to control your power," he said, before he collapsed back into the bed. "Good night." "Good night, Master." While Nagi went to sleep beneath the bed, Karasu vanished into the shadows. "There, look." "Where?" "He is tall blonde kid." "So he is Uzumaki Naruto." "Yes, he is." People lining up outside classrooms stood on tiptoe to get a look at Naruto, or doubled back to pass him in the corridors once more, staring, and whispers followed him from the moment he left the Slytherin common room. "Look on the bright side, Naruto. At least they aren't fangirls or fanboys," he thought to himself, shivering at the last part before recalling Pansy Parkinson. Like him, Pansy was a first-year student who loved both of his parents. The girl was a nightmare. In just 2 hours, he had already been asked a lot of questions about them. He was walking with Bella when he thought, "Who'll tell her that I don't know much about my parents? I've only met them once in my life, and that was when I was a newborn." They went to their next class, but it wasn't their first time there. They had discovered that the Hogwarts was actually a huge maze with constantly shifting staircases and other elements that were either invisible or a false representation of what should be there. There were doors that were actually fake and that you had to touch them. It was also very difficult to remember where everything was because everything seemed to move around often. Naruto thought, "Next time, I'll include tracking rune in the class." During their classes, they had to learn the names of the various stars and the movements of the planets by studying the night skies through their telescopes every Tuesday at midnight. They also had to study herbology 3 times a week with a dreary little witch named Professor Sprout, where they learned how to care for all the magical plants and fungi and discovered their purposes. Then came History of Magic, the only one taught by a ghost, and Professor Binns, who had been very old when he had dozed off in front of the fire in the staff room and woke up the following morning to teach, leaving his body behind him, taught them about many historical figures, including Emmerich the Evil and Uric the Oddball. The charms teacher, Professor Flitwick, was head of Ravenclaw House and a small wizard who had to stand on a stack of books to see over his desk. Then there was Transfiguration class, taught by Professor McGonagall, who was the head of Gryffindor House and the deputy headmistress of Hogwarts. McGonagall was a strict teacher who took nothing from her students, and as soon as the Slytherins sat down, she started talking. She declared, "Anyone who messes around in my class will leave and never return. Transfiguration is some of the most complicated and dangerous magic you will learn at Hogwarts. We've warned you." McGonagall suddenly produced her wand and transformed her desk into a horse and back again. Following the completion of numerous intricate notes, each of them was given a match and began attempting to transform it into a needle. However, none of them succeeded, with the exception of Naruto, who succeeded on his first attempt. "Well, Mr. Uzumaki, I must say, you have great talent in the transfiguration," Professor McGonagall said, giving Naruto a rare smile. "Thank you," said Naruto, "but I'm naturally good at using my magic. Additionally, all magic requires effective control." "Yes, that's true," Professor McGonagall replied. "Slytherin deserves 5 points for your extraordinary talent and respond." Approximately 5 children had made any progress on their needles by the end of class, and the remainder of the class was devoted to further needle practice. Defense against the dark arts was the class that everyone had been most excited about, but Quirrell's lessons ended up being a bit of a joke. He had a terrible stutter that was very annoying, and every Slytherin had made fun of him. His room always smelled strongly of garlic, especially around his turban, and Naruto sensed something fishy about him. As Friday drew near, Naruto was in the Great Hall between Pansy and Bella, reading a book while Draco, Blaze, Crab, and Goyle took their seats across from him. "Are you not hungry, Naruto?" Bella pointed to the toasts on his plate and asked. Naruto looked up from his book and said, "I'm sorry, but this book is interesting." A knife rose in the air and started spreading butter on toast as he pulled out his wand and tapped his plate twice. "Really, Naruto, how come you're so adept at using magic?" Draco posed the same query to Naruto that another person wished to pose. Naruto lifted a piece of buttered toast and took a tiny bite, chewing it slowly. "In Japan, Nobel families and some old clan teaches their children to control magic from age 6, he said. "How about the wand, though? How do they teach kids without a wand?" Pansy inquired. "We make use of the practice wand." As he finished his toast, Naruto remarked, "They are useful for teaching basic skills and for simple spells like this, but they are not appropriate for high-class spells. In any case, what have we got today?" Blaze remarked, "Double potions with the Gryffindor." "Well, this will be fun. The Gryffindor's first taste of Snape," Draco grinned. Bella and Naruto both sighed, and all the children around them grimaced. Naruto pondered Slytherins and their rivalry with Gryffindors. Severus Snape stormed in, walking down the aisle between the tables without a glance, his black robes billowing behind him. Naruto sat with Bella, Blaze, and Pansy, while Draco sat close to Crab and Goyle. The dungeons were the location of the potion lessons. Upon arriving at his desk, he turned and gazed icily at every student. Snape took the roll call to begin class, pausing when Harry's name was called. He whispered, "Ah, yes, Harry Potter, our new celebrity." Snape finished calling the names and turned to face the class as Draco, Crab, and Goyle giggled behind their hands. Naruto thought, "Looks like Professor Snape doesn't like Harry." Snape said, "You are here to learn the subtle science and exact art of potion making," in a barely audible whisper, but every student listened. "Many of you will hardly believe this is magic because there is little foolish wand waving here. I doubt that you will truly appreciate the delicate power of liquids that seep into human veins, captivating the senses and captivating the mind, or the beauty of the gently simmering cauldron with its glistening fumes. If you're not as big of a bunch of idiots as I usually have to teach, I can teach you how to stop her death, brew glory, and bottle fame." After a brief exchange of words, there was silence, and Naruto arched an eyebrow. "Hey Potter, what would I get if I mixed an infusion of wormwood with powdered asphodel root?" Snape said abruptly. Hermione's hand had soared into the air, and Ron appeared just as perplexed as Harry. Harry remarked, "I don't know, sir, tut, tut. Fame clearly isn't everything," Snape said, ignoring Hermione's hand, his lips curling into a sneer. "Let's try again," he said. "Potter, if I told you to find me a bazour, where would you go?" Hermione raised her hand as far as it would go without getting up from her chair, but Harry had no idea what a bazour was. "I don't know, sir. Potter, I assumed you wouldn't open a book before arriving," Snape asked, ignoring Hermione's trembling hand. "What's the difference between Wolfsbane and Monkshood, Potter?" Naruto had chosen to respond to his query this time, and while Hermione's hand was still up, he raised his own. "I don't know," Harry said softly, "but I believe Hermione and Naruto do, so why don't we ask them?" A few chuckled. After squinting at him, Snape turned to face Naruto. "Mr. Uzumaki, please answer the question," he said. Naruto got up from his chair and said, "Wolfsbane and Monkshood are the same plant, also known as aconite. The most well-known use of aconite is as a component of Wolfsbane potion. Although they are used in medicine as a diuretic, heart sedative, pain reliever, and to induce sweating, it is extremely toxic," he said. Asphodel and wormwood combine to make a sleeping potion so potent that it is called the Draught of Living Death. And a bazour is a stone taken from the stomach of a goat that acts as an antidote to most poisons. This is the reason why bezoars are used in the preparation of the antidote to common poisons. "You may sit now," Snape mentioned. A ruthless grin appeared on his face. Obviously some people can live up to their reputation. 10 points to Slytherins. Copy down everything that Mr. Uzumaki said. Suddenly there was a scramble for parchment and quills. Snape said over the din, "And a point will be taken from Gryffindor House for your cheat, Potter." The remainder of the lesson continued to be more tortuous for the Gryffindors. Snape divided them up into pairs and had them make a basic potion to treat boils. Bella paired with Pansy, while Naruto paired with Blaze. Goyle was with some other first-year Slytherins, and Draco was with Crabbe. Naruto went to get everything he needed from the ingredients cabinet. Returning to his table, he set down the ingredients and turned to face Blaze. "We're going to do it in my way," he said. In the cauldron, they began carefully combining the ingredients for the potion, including crushed snake teeth, dried nettles, and other ingredients not called for in the recipe. 4 horned slugs were added to the mixture. They added the porcupine quills after removing the cauldron from the fire. Naruto then waved his wand to finish the potion after stirring it 5 times in a clockwise direction. The cauldron was emitting pink smoke. It indicated that the potion worked. With a curious expression on his face, Snape approached their cauldron. "Good job, another 10 points to Slytherin for making successful potion in time," said the wizard. The outcome pleased him. After a sudden explosion, the dungeon was filled with a loud hissing and clouds of acid green smoke. Their potion was leaking across the stone floor, burning holes in people's shoes, and Neville had somehow managed to transform Seamus's cauldron into a twisted blob. The entire class was on their stools in a matter of seconds, and Neville, who had been covered in the potion when the cauldron fell, groaned in agony as enraged red boils appeared on his arms and legs. "Idiot boy," Snape growled, using a single wand wave to wipe away the potion that had spilled. "I suppose you added the porcupine quills before taking the cauldron off the fire." Boils began to appear all over Neville's nose, and he whimpered. Snape spat at Seamus. "Take him up to the hospital wing," he said. Neville had been working next to Harry and Ron when he rounded on them. "You, Potter, why didn't you tell him not to add the quills? Thought he'd make you look good if he got it wrong, did you? That's another point you've lost for Gryffindor?" According to Naruto, Snape despises Gryffindors, but not more than Harry Potter. Gryffindor had lost more than 30 points by the end of the class, while Slytherin had gained over 30. When Snape called on Naruto, he had already gotten up to leave the classroom. "Mr. Uzumaki," he said, "wait for a minute, I want to talk with you." As his friends bid him farewell and departed, Naruto nodded. Once the class had dispersed, Snape pointed to the potion Naruto had prepared and remarked, "It's not regular recipe to make boil cure." According to Naruto, "Yes, it's not, it's my godmother's personal recipe. She taught me it when I was 9 years old." This had impressed Snape. "Are you interested in advanced potion?" he inquired. Naruto gave a nod. "If you want I can teach you some advanced potion." "Really? Yes. Meet me here this Sunday." Before he left the classroom, Naruto said, "Thank you," and bowed briefly and courteously. He noticed that Bella was waiting for him outside the classroom. He said, "What are you doing here, Bella?" Bella said, "Waiting for you," as she approached him. "So what did Professor Snape talk with you?" "Nothing special. mentioned Naruto. They started walking in the direction of the Slytherin common room. With a little hesitancy, she said, Naruto, can you teach me? They continued to walk. Sure, said Naruto cheerfully. Thanks, a beaming Bella said. So what are you doing today? Naruto asked, are you asking me on a date? Well, I'm... With her face flushed, Bella yelled, I'm not asking you on a date. Just, Hagrid has asked me for a cup of tea. Do you like to come with me? Naruto remarked, well, this is a unique way to ask someone to date, but sure, why not? Bella yelled again, it's not date, but Naruto had once again disregarded her. Does he intentionally do this, or is he just that way? She pondered. Bella and Naruto had both left the castle at precisely 3 o'clock. They wore their everyday attire. While Naruto wore a black, gray hooded varsity jacket and black jeans and white t-shirt, Bella wore a basic dark purple blouse and black pants. They made their way to Hagrid's hut. It was a tiny wooden cabin on the outskirts of the Forbidden Forest, outside Hogwarts Castle. Outside the front door were 2 galoshes and a crossbow. It was Bella who knocked. Hagrid opened the door a few seconds later. Welcome, Bella, he called her. He caught sight of Naruto. Who is Frian? She said, this is Naruto Uzumaki, Bella. It's good to meet you, Hagrid remarked. You're the famous Naruto. Once they entered his house, 2 faces they recognized were Ron Weasley and Harry Potter. Ron got up and walked away. You, he shouted, gesturing toward them. Me? Naruto smirked and gestured to himself with his right thumb. Yes, Ron replied. He turned quickly to Hagrid. What are Slytherins doing here? Well, Naruto remarked, I haven't seen no entry for Slytherin's board on the door, as Ron's ears flushed. Hagrid chose to respond to his query. I've invited Bella Fair a cup of tea and Naruto is with her. Ron exclaimed, but they are Slytherins, once more. Bella questioned in frustration, what's wrong with that? So the red-headed boy was starting to irritate her. There is nothing good about Slytherins, they are rude and annoying, said Ron. Really, Naruto replied, then what about Merlin? He was in Slytherin. Ron opened his mouth to respond, but he had nothing to say about that. About th.at, said Ron. Not all Slytherins are bad people, Naruto stated, unless you happen to get on their bad side for some reason. After muttering something under his breath, Ron took a seat, and Bella and Naruto took seats beside Harry. With sheepishness, Hagrid said, Bella, what's the Slytherin house like? He was placing rock cakes on a plate and filling a big teapot with boiling water. The question startled Bella, who looked at Hagrid. What do you mean? Besides Ye and Naruto, everyone else in here is in Gryffindor. Back when I was in school I was Gryffindor also, so I want to know about Slytherins. Bella sat for a moment contemplating. Well, they're not bad. They're always striving to be the best. Most of members are not afraid to admit it, as one of the Slytherin traits is ambition and greatness, she continued. Anyway, most of them are unbelievably arrogant and very biased. They like to talk about Muggle-born and how they are less than them. It is all quite annoying. Naruto was reading a book that he had taken out of his charmed bag as she was telling Hagrid about the Slytherin house. After a few minutes, Bella concluded her speech. Hagrid gave them tea and rock cakes, unshaped lumps filled with raisins. Bella said she was on a diet and turned down the cakes offer, while Naruto graciously declined, stating he doesn't like to eat sweets in the evening. They did, however, take teacups. Harry and Ron ate cakes that nearly broke their teeth, but they acted as though they were having fun. They described their first lessons in detail to Hagrid. Bella also shared her school experience with him. Meanwhile, Naruto was reading his book and had taken it out once more. Harry explained Snape's lesson to Hagrid. Like Ron, Hagrid assured Harry that Snape didn't really like any of the pupils and that Harry shouldn't worry about it. Harry remarked, but he seemed to really hate me. Naruto abruptly said, maybe because he hates your parents, without taking his eyes off his book. He took a sip of tea and turned the page. Or he hates your father. What do you mean? I mean, maybe your father had done something with him in past, Naruto replied. And according to many people, you look just like your father. Maybe, that's why he dislikes you. Harry said, my father was a good person, with a hint of rage in his voice. Naruto closed his book and turned to face Harry. I'm not saying your father was bad, he said. Time changes people, Harry. Maybe your father was a different person when he was in the Hogwarts. Before Hagrid broke the tension, Naruto and Harry had been at odds for a few minutes. He said, well, Harry, with trepidation. Her father was a good man, but He had a bad habit o' hexing students for no other reason and because he could. Especially Professor Snape, Harry and Ron both expressed shock. But later years, he had changed. He was no longer the bully he once was. At last, Ron yelled, "What?" Naruto remarked, "The houses are not all about stereotypes," while everyone stared at him. "Not all Gryffindors are good and not all Slytherins are evil, Ron." He turned to Bella and said, "Bella, let's go." He got up and turned to face Hagrid, saying, "Thanks for tea, Hagrid. Everyone makes their own choices and decide what kind of people they'll be, not some old sorting hat," he said. Bella stood up from her chair and said, "Thank you," to Hagrid. "You're welcome," asked Hagrid. Before he left Hagrid's hut, Naruto telepathically told Karasu, "Keep your eyes on Harry Potter." "Yes, Master," said Karasu. After that, he and Bella strolled back to the castle from Hagrid's house.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.